When atheists make Bible movies, you get films like this. How could you cast Batman as Moses and still have the movie be more boring than church? Never send Hollywood to do a Christian's job. No, not that Christian. You had your chance. Still like you as Batman, though. There are two problems when it comes to faith-based movies. Number one, most Christian films look cheap because they don't have the budget. The second problem is when Hollywood attempts to make their own faith movie, which is when you get Noah talking to rock monsters. Was a global flood not epic enough for you, Hollywood? Most faith-based movies fall apart quickly. And watching them is like walking on Legos with your eyes. It's hard to feel God in a faith-based film when they have the production value of a church play.
I don't feel safe!
Hey, you don't cry until the last scene!
Pray for them. Hollywood has all of the production value, but none of the Christian value. How can we as believers enjoy a faith-based film that's as enjoyable as a blockbuster, but retains the power and truth of the Bible? We need a Hollywood-quality movie created by actual believers, and that movie is The Shift. It's about a man who meets the devil himself and gets banished to a dark, parallel earth where he fights to get back to the woman he loves. The script explores some of today's hardest questions about maintaining faith, like how can a loving God allow suffering? Or how can I overcome feelings of despair and hopelessness? Finally, you can see a faith-based film that feels like your favorite movies. The Shift is a sci-fi film that will make you think deeply like Inception and weep like Matthew McConaughey in Interstellar. Man, even his ugly cry looks good. I can't do it. I can't. I'm not that talented. Using popular genres to share faith-based stories is a great way to entertain and inspire a love for God. Look at C.S. Lewis, who used fantasy to share Christian themes and inspire millions. And make millions. Even Jesus used creative storytelling to make his sermons more interesting. Parables. I'm talking about parables. We need your help to turn The Shift into a full-length feature film. But rather than pass around a donation plate, we want you to own part of the movie. Click the link to invest in The Shift today. The plan is for The Shift to be distributed by Angel Studios, which helped The Chosen become the largest crowdfunded media project of all time. Angel Studios' distribution of The Chosen then went on to generate over $70 million in revenue and over 250 million views. Here's what the creator of The Chosen has to say about The Shift.
I have actually signed on to be one of the executive producers of The Shift, and I want to see more, and I want to be part of it. And it reaches me on both an intellectual level and an emotional level.
Angel Studios also helped the Wingfeather Saga, an animated fantasy series created by a Christian author, become the largest crowdfunded kids and family animated project in history. When you invest in The Shift, you're not just investing in a groundbreaking Christian film. You have the potential to share in the profits. Now, we don't have one of these prophets to promise that you'll make this profit. But I am going to repeat that The Chosen earned $70 million in revenue. That's the highest earning faith-based project of the last 2 years. The Shift not only has the incredible potential in the marketplace, it's just an incredible movie. Listen to these reviews from folks who watched the short film. Jane F. wrote, "This looks amazing. I've never seen a faith-based film like this." Ronnie said, "There's actually no way to convey how this spoke to me just now. I look forward to seeing what God does with this film." And Jason commented recently with, "Wow, just wow." And what will really wow you is discovering that the short film was created with almost zero budget and it has already touched hundreds of thousands of lives. Imagine the impact the shift can have on hearts and minds with the proper funds. Most indie Christian films operate with a budget of about $500,000, and honestly, it shows. She's fine. Maybe the little shepherd boy could say a quick prayer? Yep, we good? With 10 times the production value, we can truly do justice to the epic themes in the Bible. So click on the link to invest in The Shift today. Look, there's nothing wrong with a film that's a labor of love, but those usually just become cult classics, which is not the best label for a Christian movie to receive. Enjoy Sunday morning values with Saturday night entertainment. Click the link to invest in The Shift today.
Welcome, everybody. Tonight is the biggest and the best night of our current campaign for The Shift. This is our last night. This is the final night, the final countdown. We wanted to have the song queued up.
But you all hear it in your head anyway.
Yeah, you all hear it as soon as you say the words final countdown. Also, we don't have that much money to pay for those rights. Not yet. That's what this campaign's about. We want the final countdown. No, we don't. We're not going to use it in the movie. I'm Brock Heasley. I'm the writer and director of The Shift.
And I'm Orlando J. Gomez, producer of The Shift.
And The Shift is a movie that we are raising money for right now and for the next, I believe, 6 hours.
6 hours. Mm-hmm.
At angel.com/The Shift. You can invest in The Shift. This is literally your last chance to invest in The Shift. If you've been sitting back and you're like, I'm waiting until I hear it's the last day. Well, that is now. That is now. So everybody who's watching right now, please do us a favor. Share this stream. Get it out there. Let people know that we're here. We also want to welcome, by the way, fans of Stefanie and Caleb Rouse, who will be joining us a little bit later. They have recently seen The Shift. They become fans of The Shift, and we're going to talk to them as, you know, experts and influencers in the space of like faith and relationships and marriage and things like that. I think they're going to have some things to say about how The Shift plays out. Also joining us first, actually, before they come on, is going to be Jeff Harmon, the co-founder of Angel Studios. We'll have him on in just a second. Awesome. And then my wife, Erin Heasley, will be joining a bit later.
So lots of fun.
And lots of unpredictability when she comes.
But we know it's going to be great.
She's already been giving me a very hard time tonight and threatening all sorts of shenanigans.
All of which I advocate for, so
right.
It's all good.
So I'm outnumbered. This is the last evening. We have a goal tonight. We are really, really close to $1.1 million. And I buried the lead on this. We hit $1 million in investment earlier today. This morning we hit that number.
Yes.
And so this is what this really is right now. This is a celebration. We are celebrating with you the incredible momentum that we are seeing with The Shift. And look, that number right now it's 1.095, very close to 1.1 million. What that number represents is people. It represents people like you who believe in The Shift and want to see it happen. I had a very emotional moment seeing that number roll over to $1 million this morning. I actually went live. I captured that moment live, and it took me by surprise. I got a little teary. It was very, very cool. Tonight's goal, we would love to see another $50,000 in investments during tonight's live stream. If that happens, I will allow my wife to come on and share another embarrassing story about me. We did this a few weeks ago, and it was an incredibly embarrassing story, and I hated every minute of it. I will allow that again if we can get to another $50,000 tonight.
Sounds good.
So that's our goal. I think it can happen. We are seeing just a rush of investments coming in. People wanting to get on board. People realizing, oh, this is it. Time is up. I've had somebody message me today. Can you extend it? The answer is no. I can't. Legally, I can't do that.
It's not us.
It's not. Yeah. If I could, sure, but I can't. John says invested $1,500 the other day. Thank you, John. It's important for Christians to create culture. Glad to be a part of it. Looking forward to seeing what God will do. Same here, John. Love it. Hey, we got some recent investments. Keith from New York just invested $102. Thank you very much, Keith. Danielle from Virginia invested $252. Awesome, Danielle. Marco from Texas invested $300. Got his name in the credits. That's what Marco did.
Yeah.
Melissa from Hawaii invested $102. She's going to be added to our backer list. Thank you, Melissa. Greg from Florida invested $300. Greg's name is also going to be in the credits of the film. So there are perks, and we're going to talk about those a little bit later. There are perks, though, that come with investing. Right now, I want to introduce the man, the myth, the legend, Jeff Harmon. He is the co-founder of Angel Studios, and he is joining us right now. He's going to tell us about why The Shift is a part of Angel Studios, and I think he's got a little bit of an announcement for us tonight. Hey, Jeff, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
I'm on cloud nine. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah, it's an exciting night. I'm glad to be here with you.
Yeah, no, we're really glad to have you on. So just, let's dial it way back here. Let's go back in time a little bit. You see the Shift film for the first time. This is a while ago. What were your impressions? Like, what resonated with you? How did we get from there to here today?
So one of my coworkers, Brad Reese, who you know well, he comes to me and he says, "Hey, Jeff, you need to watch this short film." And I sit down, I watched it, and I was like, this is really like quite good. It builds, and then when you get right at the end, it hits hard. And I said to Brad, I think that this has got the capability to raise, like, to actually crowdfund. And it was just kind of a hunch. And then we decided, yes, we do want to pursue this. Neil and Brad were very, very into the film. For me, I was like, I think it does, but I'm not sure yet. If you remember, Brock.
I do remember very well.
Yes. And so Neil and Brad were way into it. And then it was a significant amount of time later, I read the script. And then as soon as I read the script, I was putting my own money into the project. And
Everything changed.
Yeah, it totally changed the way I looked at it. So I know people you probably have time. There's like, how many hours are left?
6 hours. 6 hours.
Gotta read fast.
Okay. So 6 hours
That's
left.
enough time to read.
You can read the script if you want to, but the script makes a huge difference. The Animatic got me even more excited. That got me to invest more money personally investing in it. And then as a studio and as a distributor, the reason why we're so excited about The Shift is, one, what the way I look at projects is I invest rather than in ideas. I like to invest in people. And so the reason why we want to distribute this is because we have watched over the last couple of years, Brock and Orlando go through this process of, like, step by step, taking this $500 short film and then selling me on allowing him to go ahead and post it with Neil, and then bringing in the minimum threshold on the first round to make sure that we continue wanting to distribute, and then coming and doing the second round. And these guys are just grinding this out, but every single step it's accelerating. It's going faster and faster. And when you watch, I like to put my weight behind teams, people. And so all the investments I do in my life are around who is the right kind of person that's going to grind, because every single project that is meaningful, everything we do in life that's meaningful is hard. And this is not an exception. Making a beautiful film project is so taxing physically. A lot of people think that film is like this easy job, but it's like a very taxing project. And so getting to a finish line is such a huge part of the creative process. And so I look at it and I watch Brock, and I have gotten to where, Brock, I listen to your live streams like podcasts. And I just turn them on while I'm washing dishes, and I find myself laughing and learning from them. And so I'm becoming like this fan and follower of Brock Heasley in Orlando through this process. And so I how do I explain it? Like, when you find someone who can grind out and take a $500 short film that you wrote in like a very difficult time of, your life, and it shows in the way the script's written, then you step up and you come into Angel Studios and we say, hey, let's distribute it. If you can crowdfund this, we'll distribute your project. And then you launch a crowdfunding campaign, and then you step up to the next step. And then you do a little bit more and you build more of your story, and you step up to the next step. And you've got the Jars of Clay team that are to compose Dan and Dan and Matt, because I'm live. Yeah. So you have the composers on board, and then you have Brandon Jones, and and it's just like, and there's things happening behind the scenes that people don't know about yet that are going to be very exciting. Sorry, if I'm looking down at the screen, it's because Brock's face is right here, but I'm supposed to look at the
It's hard.
I can see Brock and Orlando are really good. But to me, the camera's like this, like cold, staring eyeball. Anyway, I like being behind the cameras. I like being in front. So anyway, but they step up to the next one, and now you've done a $1 million plus round on this one, and watching the momentum increase with each step, you know that you're like, because it's an exponential increase if you watch it happening. It's like, just like, and so one thing about exponential growth curves is that everybody underestimates how long they're going to take to get to the destination, but they also underestimate how high they go once they get there. And so I'm not saying that this is going to go bonkers. I personally have invested in the project because I believe in it, but I mean, it could fail. But the curve suggests that this is to me, it's a good bet. So anyway, I probably am off script, Brock, but
no. I mean, look, no, what you say is fair. I mean, look, yes, it's our final night. You just used the word fail, so thanks, Jeff. But the fact is that every investment does come with a certain amount of risk, and it's fair and it's responsible on our part to point that out.
Yes.
Now we're all doing this, and go ahead.
Something I feel like from Angel Studios' standpoint, what we're doing as a distributor is we just launched the first theatrical release that we're doing with Fathom in partnership with Fathom Events for The Chosen. So The Chosen's doing this Christmas special that launches on December 1st to the 10th. And the first day we launched it, Dallas and his team sold out 1,300 theaters in 12 hours. And
crazy.
So this is the same group of people that are getting, so you've got Dallas as an executive producer on this shift, and we're an Angel Studios weight behind it. And then it's going to be, however, I don't know if it's a year or year and a half or whatever before it's all ready to go. By that time, Angel Studios base is going to be very big at the current growth rates. Assuming those rates are the same speed. And so if this project, if Brock performs the way that he has this entire time, what gets us excited is we feel like this could potentially be a breakout, right? This project is, when I watched the Animatic, I was just like, okay, I think this could be huge. I keep ticking up my, how potentially big it could be goes up a little bit more with every step you make. My expectations are like, yeah, we should put more resources behind this. We should do even more.
So talk about that for a second.
Go ahead.
What was it? I don't want to derail you, but what was it about the Animatic and, that made you think, oh, this is higher in my esteem now? Like, what was it that you connected with on that? And for those that don't know, the Animatic is just an animated storyboard a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's the animated storyboard. It's just to help you understand your pacing, your script, make sure your shots are right. Yeah, so there's a picture on the screen of the Animatic. So it gets you, like, your framing, your shots, kind of like how you're going to pull off very complex scenes is how they do, like any major scene in like Inception or Marvel movie is going to have big animatics to figure out in advance, storyboards and animatics, how they frame it so they can reference it while they're on set. Because when you get on set, you have limited number of hours, and if you're not very well planned, everything starts to get really loose. And so
absolutely,
if you've planned out all your shots really well, when the cognitive load gets really high for the director and the DP and the AD and everybody, the cognitive loads start just increasing while you're on set. And once you have all these plans built out, you can pull them up and you go, okay, we're doing this shot, so that you're not taking on any of like the mechanical work while you're on set. You're trying to just implement all the mechanics you've already built. So anyway, so the Animatic, when I saw it, what happens when I, for example, I helped create the Poopery ad campaign. If you ever heard of Poopery, a big, huge viral ad from years ago, or Squatty Potty. When I would read the scripts, get back from our writing retreats, I would say, this is really, really good. And with Poopery, a lot of people said, oh, this is really this isn't going to work. But in my mind, I had an idea of how it was going to work. And then when we get into the editing room, we got together and we realized we had shot all these shots wide, and then we didn't save our time to get the good good performances in a tight. And so when we went through the rough assembly cut, I go, crap, what have we done? We've ruined this entire project. And then we're like, but the work of somebody this is what I see in Brock, and the way you did just even the pitch video that you built, is it's somebody who can take that situation where it feels like you're ruined. And then we went through and actually took close shots without as good of a voice performance, and then dubbed over. We took the wide shots that had the good voice performance, and probably 90% of the Poopery video is dubbed over from the good performances and the less good performances when we need the tight shots. And we saved the project through that and made one of the biggest viral hits. But it was kind of boring until we cut it up like that. And I can see with you, Brock, what happens is, or Squatty Potty, I showed it to several people, and Squatty Potty people would say, this is just way more zany and weird than Poopery. It's not going to do as well. And I said, no, I think it's going to be bigger. But I had a vision for what it's going to look like. And and then when it comes out the other end, it was even better than I thought it was going to be. And so when I read Brock's script, this is a long way to get to this point. When I read Brock's script, I had a visual in my head of what it could sound like, what it's going to feel like. And then the Animatic, the sound and the pacing were better than what I had imagined in my head for that scene.
Right.
And to me, that's when it goes from, I was already pleased with the scene I had in my head for sound and pacing. I can't speak for the visual because the visual is not there yet, but sound and pacing is what you're looking, and storytelling is what you're looking for in an Animatic.
Right.
And so I had already in my head got an expectation of what that scene would feel like. And it felt like significantly step up from where I thought it was going to be at. And so now, if it's already a step up, you've got the capability to step it up again. And so
exactly.
This is the reason why I believe in you, Brock, is because in Orlando, is because you guys have this grind to get to that emotional magic that needs to happen.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I definitely have always felt because look, it is a bit of a leap, right? To go from a $500 short film to a feature film. That's a bit of a leap.
Yeah.
But I've never really had a whole lot of concern about making that leap, because I do feel like, number one, this is the right project for that. And number two, we're ready. We understand what the task is that's ahead of us. And I love that you connected with the Animatic on that level, because to me, that is the thing that I would show to people and say, look, this is what we're trying to do. We did this, and that means we can do this other thing. Go ahead.
And what's really interesting about that too is, the Animatic, that was your idea. We did not.
Right. I was actually initially
we didn't want to do
it.
And glad we did, because it really gave us an opportunity to really show what this looks and feels like, what the world is.
Yeah, I had suggested, Brock, there's this very complex scene inside the show where you're sitting there in the script going, okay, so he went here, now he's here, and he's
exactly.
And you're sitting there trying to figure out where he's at. And I was like, if it's this hard to follow, if we when you need to make an Animatic anyway, because it's such a complex scene. This is what I was trying to convince. and it's going
Right.
that whole scene is going to come together better if you make an animatic. And Brock and Orlando are like, no, we already know how to do it at first, right? And
Well,
then Brock
yeah, I mean, at
it
first,
was like a 5-minute conversation of pushback, and then you said, no, I agree with you.
that sounds about
Pretty
right.
much.
That's kind of my pattern. Any good idea, I'll always say no to at first, but give me 5 minutes. I'll come around if it's a good idea. You know, it's not a good idea if I don't come around in 5 minutes. Hey, we just hit 1.1 million.
Awesome.
How about that? That's
like
pretty
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
We are at 1.1 million in investments. That's incredible.
Thank you.
That's great.
So one of the things that's happened recently that we haven't really talked about, that has been more behind the scenes, is that we have recently really formalized our distribution deal with Angel Studios.
Yes.
We are much more tied together even than we were just recently. And I think we have the perfect person on with us right now to talk about, that announcement, talk about what that means for the shift and how we fit in with everything that's going on.
So up until now, we've always expected to be helping the shift distribute, but we didn't have a formal agreement because we started long enough ago that we didn't know our model back then. When we started the shift with Brock, when we decided, hey, we're going to help you distribute on this, it was The Chosen had just funded, or they were in the middle of funding, right? They were still in the middle of funding.
They were still in the middle of funding. They hadn't,
still in the middle of funding, and we didn't have a business model yet figured out. And so we kind of had this we have a distribution agreement for the short film, and once you fund, we'll distribute the bigger one, but we don't really know how to do theaters, so we probably shouldn't put theaters in the mix. And it was just this messy thing. And so as we've learned through The Chosen and how to start doing theatrical releases, and I've been meeting with theatrical guys for the last 2 weeks, talking about how to we just took our first step and we have huge success. We sold out. We've already beat Fathom's all-time record for Faith Films, and I think our goal is to beat their all-time record ever, which was done by Peter Jackson, who did Lord of the Rings. The single biggest Fathom event of all time is done by Peter Jackson, and we have a shot beating his record.
Wow,
that's awesome.
The most sales with this Christmas special. And so if we can do that well with The Chosen, and then we'll step up and learn a little bit more, and we decided to take our toes and dip into another theatrical run. We're distributing David, the film that's also funding right now with the shift.
Right, the animated
film.
I'm not saying you can go over there tomorrow after this is over, but David is also going to be a theatrical release, and so we're cutting our teeth on theatrical, and so our first one is breaking records, and we've broken records with so many things that we've done over the years. And I think basically when you're taking a bet with the shift, you're betting on Brock as a filmmaker, as Orlando as a filmmaker, their grind, their grit, but you're also betting on us as a partner, Angel Studios. The guys who we're distributing The Chosen, Dry Bar Comedy, Tuttle Twins, and a whole bunch of other projects that are coming down the pipe. And then also the DNA of our team. The partners, the founders are partners at an ad agency that has done Poopery, Squatty Potty, Purple Mattress, Lumi Deodorant. If you look at the top viral video campaigns of all time, and you take the top 25, our agency has done more of those campaigns than any other agency in the world. And
that's incredible.
And so it's like you're basically saying, I believe that these teams can figure it out. It's a crazy bet. Film is crazy. Don't invest unless you're ready to lose your money. but bets sometimes go up, right? And these are like we've bet on ourselves. Neil and I, the founders, we've bet, and our brothers, we've bet everything on ourselves being able to be successful. And we have a pretty good track record. That doesn't mean we're foolproof, and there's no guarantee that we're going to succeed. I mean, the shift could completely flop. You lose all your money, whatever. And I'm not even like, I'm not joking about that. Like it's for real, but it's a bet to say, I want to influence the world. I think that the Angel Studios team will do an excellent job of distributing, or at least they'll give it the very best they got. And I know that Brock and Orlando can make this, and they're going to attract talent. I believe they're going to attract talent as this thing. I mean, they're already attracting, but I think it's going to get bigger. The snowball, the curve says that there's more coming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, definitely. I mean, for our big next step really is, actors. It's we've got a great crew and post-production team and production team and all that stuff. But I think our next big leap is going to be getting those actors, those name actors, to come in, and that is going to be a serious game.
Just to be clear, like, there's no name actors in The Chosen, and we're we're betting that thing's going to be bigger than Game of Thrones worldwide by season 7. That's our expectation. No name actors. So you don't have to have name actors, but it doesn't hurt.
You don't have to, but it doesn't hurt. Well, and the theatrical space is a little bit different. It's a little bit different. The television space. Yeah. In theatrical, it's a little bit different, and that's really our consideration.
And again, it kind of comes back to the whole idea of it is a risk, right? Your film is a huge risk; it's a huge gamble, but that's why we need to do the best we can to hedge our bets.
Yeah, we want to minimize the risk.
We do as much as we can to eliminate that as much as possible. Right. So getting the right people on, partnering with the right distributor, getting the right executive producer, getting the right crew around us, getting the right cast. It's all just a matter of trying to minimize that risk as much as possible.
Right.
Because that's our job.
Right. Absolutely.
It's not just to make a good product, but it's also to minimize the risk for our investors.
Yep.
At least that's my job.
No, that is what it's all about. Especially your job. Yeah,
that's my job.
That's true. That's true. Well, Jeff, any final thoughts? I know we recently launched the NFT, and you're a big believer in that. I don't know if you want to speak to that for a minute.
Let's just go into NFTs for the last thing. That'd be great, because I know you've got bigger guests than me coming here in a little bit.
I don't know.
So the back in 1940s, Walt Disney was looking at this issue. They had all these celluloids. You know what a celluloid is? Brock, explain what a celluloid is to your audience.
It's an animation frame. It's the picture you're looking at when you're watching an animated film. It's because all really animated film is a bunch of pictures. Yeah.
I should have grabbed ours. I have a celluloid from the original Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. We have an original celluloid here at the office. Oh, nice. We spent $15,000 on. It cost $15,000.
I need to see that
Walt Disney. He originally went out into the park. The dwarfs, and it has the rain like coming down, and we've got the celluloid hanging in our office because it inspired this model. Awesome. But at $15,000 today, even though Walt Disney sold it for $8 back at Disneyland when he first started selling them, because he had a whole warehouse full of celluloids. They're like, we have to get rid of these because we need space. Yep. And so he just went out in the park and started selling for $8 a piece on his own, and then eventually turned it into like a machine.
So crazy.
So you look at like a 50-minute episode. I don't know exactly the math for like how long the shift will be, if it's 1.5, 2 hours, whatever. But if like a 50-minute episode has like 72,000 individual unique frames in it. So you've got 24 frames a second, go by minutes, go up to 50 minutes, then you've got like 72,000 frames. NFTs is a technology that, and I'm not going to get into explaining an NFT. If you don't understand it, it makes it so that you can actually have a unique digital signature, which means you can own a unique one frame that will only ever be one issued or minted of that frame. And so when the shift, because this is, you're talking about investment. So if the shift turns out to be a masterpiece of art. Like indie film, one of those kind of breakout that just like everybody loves. Every frame is like an art piece. Then everything in those frames can be owned by somebody, just like the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And the bigger the film gets, the more valuable those frames become. And we're going to make them tradable, because NFTs are on blockchain, and it means you can trade them anywhere. You can go to OpenSea, you can go all over the internet. They're completely sovereign. They have their own. You own the frame, and you can just trade it. Nobody can give you permission, can't take it away from you, and it's irrevocable ownership. And so, the short film that starts this whole thing, for people that invest, they get a frame if they invest over. I don't know how much it is right now.
Right now, I think it's actually $1,100 because it started at $500, but it's increased as we've hit stretch goals.
It's going up. As the price. Honestly, these frames are like, if this project succeeds, that could be a very, very good price. Not let alone not counting your investment. So you take those original frames, and if you invest over $1,100, you get an original frame and an NFT. I don't know if we have animation that we can show, but it's this like 3D animation that shows the context. It has all the metadata from the frame, and you get it. And then later we'll be giving you. This is one from Tuttle Twins. There's the Disney frames. Those are the kinds that we have. But so this Tuttle Twins one you can see over there. That's a frame of Grandma like going into a time tunnel with the Tuttle Twins. So next year we'll be minting these into the blockchain, and then they'll be yours, and you can pass them on to your grandkids. But the most important thing about this is that you can say, hey, you know that movie that was in theaters, The Shift, that we have on DVD on our shelf, or that we watch streaming or whatever? I have one of the original short film NFTs, because I was an original supporter of this project, and it's like part. I can't explain how excited I am about this. Like, think about this. So The Chosen was not like, there was a very small group. 19,000 people got excited about The Chosen when we first like promoted it. The Chosen built a community of 19,000 people. They now imagine, we didn't have NFTs at the time, but now when The Chosen does their NFTs, or when Tuttle Twins does theirs, just how much value, if you've seen The Chosen, watched it, you would place on owning a frame of the film. Right. One of the frames. And the shift is at the very beginning of that process, which means, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I invested enough to make sure I got an NFT. Maybe that's how I should explain it.
No, I think
I remember you were super fired up about this when you first brought it to our attention. I think you're like walking between meetings, you're on the street, and you like call us, like you're just like literally walking down the street and like trying to explain this NFT thing, and Brock and I are just like, what? Like just go Google, go look it up. Trust me, it makes sense. Like you'll love it.
Yeah, no, I get it now. Well, we got a ton of investments that have just come in that we got to announce. Jeff, do you want to stick around for that, or do we need to say goodbye? I know you've got an appointment.
I better jump off. Thanks so much, Brock. So impressed with you. So impressed with you and your wife and everything in Orlando. You guys are grinders. Like I told the other day, I said, look, The Chosen is like this miraculous thing that happened, and it seems so miraculous that people almost look at it and say, oh, you can't really do that again. But Brock's story is this filmmaker who takes a $500 short film and just grinds and grinds and grinds. And I was like, I think Brock's story is the like peak in my mind of what our model is about. What the Angel Studios model is about just like anybody, wherever they're at, if they got enough creative energy and they're just willing to put, like, if it's one of those things that keeps you up at night and you just can't sleep because you want to build this project, which Brock is just like totally one of those guys. That this is the case. This will be, I hope, I have to put I hope, because this is investment, but I hope this will be a case study for us at Angel Studios of how anyone can figure this out and get to the point where they make a big film.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That.
Yeah.
Awesome.
From your
Thank
lips.
you.
Thanks, Jeff. Really appreciate it. All right. So that was
great.
Jeff Harmon, the co-founder of Angel Studios. According to him, investing in the shift is not a terrible idea. So if you want to do that, you can go to angel.com/the shift. We've had a bunch of investments come in while we've been talking to Jeff, and we want to shout those out real quick before we welcome our next guests, Caleb and Stefanie Rouse. Okay. Investments. Richard from Tennessee. Richard from Tennessee is gone. I rubbed my hands too hard. Richard from Tennessee invested $102. Welcome, awesome. Richard.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you so much. Valerie from New York invested $999. Love that. Thank you, Valerie. Caleb from South Carolina invested $102. Welcome, Caleb.
Thank you, Caleb.
Nancy from Ohio, thank you for partnering with us for $105.
Thank you, Nancy.
And David from Missouri. Help me out here.
Montana?
My wife is laughing at me. No, it's not Montana. I think it's Missouri. It's Missouri. Invested $102. It's not Modesto. It's the state. What are you talking about? Okay, Joe from Missouri as well. I'm doubling down. Invested $102. Thank you, Joe. Annette from Alabama. Invested $102. Look, everybody, it's been a long month, okay? Ruben from California. I haven't shaved in forever, as you can tell. Ruben from California invested $120. Thank you so much, Ruben. David from Arizona invested $102.
David.
Thank you, David. Brenda and Tom from Wisconsin invested $300.
Thank you, Brenda and Tom.
Awesome. I'm going to say Tiare from Utah invested $102. Apologies if I got your name wrong, but thank you. Bruce from Idaho invested $1,998. Possibly the year Bruce was born.
I was going to say, I think that's a significant year.
But that's pretty awesome. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
Lisette from Florida invested $150.
Thank you, Lisette.
Thank you, Lisette. Albert from California invested $300. Albert, you're a rock star. Thank you. Jeremiah from Arizona invested $498. Thank you, Jeremiah. And Rick from this just keeps coming. Rick from Illinois invested $102. Love it. Bruce from Idaho invested. Wait, I think we've already done Bruce from Idaho, unless he did it again. For $1,998.
1998s.
The team is silent, which means I think it's legit. So there we go. Anything else? Oh, we're still going here. Fabian from New York invested $102. Thank you so much. Alicia from Illinois invested $498, and that is our last one for right now. They are still coming in. What is our current total? Let's throw that up. We are at $1,111,170. That is our current investment rate. We are trying to get to $50K tonight. If that happens, my wife will take the stage and tell a very embarrassing story. As usual, I am of two minds on this. I both want that to happen and desperately do not. But it should happen. So please keep them coming. Let's see here. We're going to talk real quick here about perks. If you invest in the shift, there are a number of perks that are available to you. Number one, if you invest at $100 or more, which is the minimum amount, you will be added to our backer list on our website. If you go higher than that to $300, you're going to have your name in the credits of the film. The actual movie itself, your name there. $600 or more, we're going to send out an exclusive newsletter from us, the creators, and you're going to get that. If you go higher than that to $1,000, I'm going to make a director's cut of the trailer, a special trailer just for you and anybody who invested $1,000 or more. $1,500 or more, you get early access to the film, digital access to the film before anybody else. That's pretty dang awesome. That's pretty cool. $3,000 or more, behind the scenes photo album, a bunch of photos nobody else is going to get to see, but you're going to have access to it. And $5,000 or more. This one's very, very cool. You'll get to be an extra in the film. You actually get to come to set and be in the movie. Travel and lodging and all that stuff is up to you. We'll send you the dates. $10,000. You're going to get all of that. All of this stuff, by the way, any perk level includes all previous perk levels. Right. Signed copy of the script at $10,000. Signed copy of the script for you. $25,000 or more. Not only are you coming to the set to be an extra, but you're going to get a full day access to the set. You'll get to go around and see how it's made. You know, extras are always corralled into certain spots. Yeah. That's not going to be you. You're going to get to roam.
Yeah.
$50,000. You get to do all that. Plus, you and I, we're going to sit down and have lunch together. You can ask me anything you want. Love to share a meal with you. And we've had a couple $50,000 investments come in the past day. So those lunches are on. That's happening. $75,000 or more, you get to be an associate producer on the film. And at $100,000, you get to be an executive producer on the film, which means your name in the credits next to executive producer Dallas Jenkins. Pretty cool perks. And of course, there's our NFT perk. Come in at $1,100 right now, and you'll get the NFT. Until we hit, I believe it's 1,250,000. If we get above that, then the NFT is gonna increase in price again.
And this is total across all their investments. So
correct.
If they've invested before and they want to up it, it just has to be total combined.
Correct. Not only can you add to your investments in this current round, but if you invested in our previous rounds and you invest more now, you can get up to those perks. Yes. Right. So it's all we're keeping track of all of that. It's all cumulative. Mm-hmm. We've had 2 more investments come in while we were going over the perks. Brian from Iowa invested $102. Thank you so much, Brian. And Cynthia from Oregon invested
another $19.98.
$1,900. Is there something I don't know? $1,998. Thank you so much, Cynthia.
Shifted.
Awesome.
Something's going on. Something's in the water. I don't know where that water is. Sarah says, "Can we bring a map to the lunch and quiz you on your state abbreviations?"
Wow.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks
so
much.
Yeah.
You know,
Go for it.
I think I don't do that bad, to be honest with you, but apparently I'm the only one who thinks that way.
There's a reason I'm not reading them.
Yeah. Well, we want to welcome Caleb and Stefanie in just a second here. First, we would like to show you a special message from one of our executive producers, Dallas Jenkins. This is Dallas.
Hey there, I'm Dallas Jenkins. I'm the creator of The Chosen, and I wanted to share with you a little bit of why I have actually signed on to be one of the executive producers of The Shift. I remember when I first saw the short film, The Shift, it was probably a couple years ago, and I remember thinking to myself, I don't know who this person is who made this, and I had heard that they did it for no money, but I'm really impressed, and I believe that this guy has a future. And I wanted to see more. I wanted to see where the shift turned out. I wanted to see how it could be expanded upon. I wanted to see what Brock could do with an actual budget. So the shift now has a relatively small budget. They're really keeping the budget low, and that's one of the things I'm trying to do is help them maximize the budget that they do have and making sure that every penny that we spend is spent in the best and most efficient way possible, which is one of the things that I hope, if you've seen The Chosen, you've realized we did there too, was we didn't have Hollywood money, but we had enough to make something special. And I think that's what Brock has now. I think he's going to get, and I hope you can help him get enough to make something special. And I think the message of the shift and the future of the shift is so important. And almost as important as any of that is Brock Heasley. He didn't ask me to say this, I promise, but I can tell you I've seen his work on a writing side, I've seen it on the directing side, and in my 20 years in the business, there are very few people who I've thought, I want to pour into this person because I think that this person has the chance to be an impactful and disruptive and important storyteller in this business, and that is Brock. Brock is someone who, when I read what he's writing, I'm connected to it. And I want to see more, and I want to be part of it. And it reaches me on both an intellectual level and an emotional level. And if you've seen The Chosen, maybe that's what you've appreciated about it as well, is that it's not just pure emotion. It's emotion that has some thought behind it, but it's also not pure intellect. It's intellect that has some heart behind it. And all of that is, there's kind of an umbrella over all of it of a spiritual importance. Something is being said about our universe and who created it.
Nothing. I am greater than God. Jesus Christ.
And that's what The Shift is about. That's what The Chosen is about. It's one of the reasons why I've signed on board, and I hope you can get involved as well to be part of the beginning of what I believe is an important project and who I believe is an important filmmaker.
We need your help to turn The Shift into a full-length feature film. Click the link to invest in The Shift today.
All right. Welcome, Caleb and Stefanie.
Hey, thanks guys.
Hey.
Man, I seriously got chills watching that video, especially at the end. I was like sitting here like, ooh, man, that was good.
Yeah, no, Dallas is has been a huge advocate for this little show we're doing here, and obviously for me, I just want to say I really did not ask him to talk about me. I was really just asking him to get on camera about The Shift. So that was a surprise and deeply uncomfortable every time we watch that video. So you guys, tell us, first of all, tell us a little bit about who you are for everybody who's just seeing you for the first time.
Well,
What do you guys do?
We're husband and wife, and we work together full time as digital creators and authors and relationship mentors. So we share about Jesus, and we talk about real issues in marriage and faith, and draw people into bigger conversations off Instagram and off social media into getting to do Zoom calls and mentoring and have courses for people. So
Yeah.
it's fun.
So you're just
okay.
changing the world a little bit. That's all. You know, I mean, being a positive force out there. That's amazing. You guys are really genuinely like the perfect people to be talking to right now, because what you do is so about, I think, what The Shift is about. So much of what it's about. When you watched the short film for the first time, like, what were your impressions? What resonated with you, especially with your particular background? I'm very curious.
Wow. First off, very, very well done. I love the film. And one of the things that really stuck out to me is the idea that two people can have a very different perspective on the same kind of reality, and how Satan takes those differences and then causes a divide, and can cause a massive divide in relationships and in the course of somebody's life, and how they interact with something can really shift the trajectory of where they're going in their life. And so for me to see that, and like that theme in the movie of how he does that to people, that is clearly a massive issue in this world. And what I thought was so powerful was the idea that in the midst of that, in the midst of like Satan doing that, like the power of calling on our Heavenly Father in that moment for peace and to give us that sound mind. It was truly a powerful experience. What about you, babe?
Oh, that's so good. We had just been teaching a relationship course for married couples right before I watched that. And in what we were talking about, we said there's the actual experience that happens, and then it's how you experience it and how I experience it, which are two totally different things. The couple that we're meeting with or whoever, and so when I saw the beginning, I was like, this is exactly what we're talking about, but it's such a tangible way to see it, because they're telling two different stories, but they're both telling from their own reality. And it just, I was like, man, I want people to be able to see this and see it on the big screen, you know, because it's going to be powerful for marriages to get to really see that division that the enemy wants to cause, that I really believe is happening in so many marriages around.
And I think it's teaching to see that played out, like on film.
Yeah.
You know, like to see that, because I think people will see that like, oh, wow, like that's how I handled that. This is the direction I go. And they can see that and be, you know, change and go into their next interaction in that way with the new mindset.
No, I'm so glad to hear you say that, because, you know, every once in a while we'll get some criticism. You know, faith films sometimes are a very particular thing. And I think that's good in some ways, because I think people deserve to have media that appeals to them and appeals to how, you know, to their faith and their particular strand of it. But for me, a lot of faith films sometimes are a little too sanitized, a little too separated from the real world for me. And so, you know, The Shift is obviously it's fantastical, but it's also trying to get at something that's very real. And you've just spoken to that. But I've also gotten some criticism for that, because I'm depicting a man who's, you know, angry at his wife, who yells at him and at her. And 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 there's this discord that's there. And but the thing is that, like you said, that it's valuable to show that, and to show that from the perspective of, hey, there's something else going on. There is an attack that's happening on these people. And of course, in the feature film, we hope to show more of some of the reconciliation and some of the, how they're going to get through this and dealing with these issues that they've had. But I think that we need to see ourselves reflected in our stories so that we can process our own stories. That's I think is what's powerful about fiction. Even, it doesn't just because it's not true doesn't mean it's not true, if that makes sense. There's power in that. So, okay. So you've seen a little bit of Kevin and Molly's marriage in the short film. In the feature film, we're going to go way deeper into it and actually see how they got together and really what was the central issue that kind of drove them apart. That's all in the feature film. But just based on what you've seen so far, being relationship mentors, what marriage advice would you give to them? Like, how would you approach them?
Well, I have this long list that is going down in the other room, so I got to know. There was a few things that I really felt like if I were to go in and coach Kevin and be like, hey, let me talk to you about a couple things. I think that how he immediately addresses his wife, like when she comes in the room or their first interaction, I feel like when your spouse comes in the room, a kind greeting just in general is so valuable and sets like a powerful mood. He's like immediately like, turn that down, or she's paid the bills. And that was my immediate thought, like, hey, why don't we just start with like, hey, how are you doing today? Like a kind thing. I think that really sets the tone. And then there's two other things that I just kind of immediately thought of. And I think one of them is soft startup. One of the things we talk about is soft startup. And that's whenever there's a conversation between two people, if it's like an argument type of a conversation, to start it gently and to start the conversation that way. Because 96% of arguments or conversations that are started in a negative way end negatively. And that's by the Gottman Institute. Yeah. That's just not something off my head. But how you start that conversation really dictates that. So I think the interaction of, hey, how are you doing? It's nice to see you today. And then the starting the conversation in a more kind way. And, the interaction just really got off to a wrong start and it set them both up to fail. When you're in a marriage, you want to be set up to succeed, especially in a conversation of importance. And so setting yourself up and then your spouse up for success is massively important. I'll let you talk. I talked a long time.
No, those are so good. I love that. No, I agree with those. And, something that I saw that was happening is they were forgetting that they were on the same team. And I think that that's obviously in the film depicted that the enemy does a ton in a lot of our relationships, to see the enemy as the person in front of us instead of who we're really fighting against. Wow. And in marriages, you're one. So if one person is hurting, both people are hurting. And to once you do the soft startup and don't have to be set up to fail, really understanding, hey, we're on the same team. And when we win, when we get to listen to the other person, when we get to actively listen and reflect what they're saying. And you might not even, like, Kevin might have not agreed with what his perspective is different, but to just step back and to hear what she was saying, because she was obviously hurting. And so if he was able to give her space and listen to her, it's so powerful to make it about her pain, and then watch that relationship bloom, as then he'll also get back the love and respect, and it can be something powerful.
Really good.
No, totally. I love what you said about how it's important to remember that we're on the same team. It's something my wife and I will say to each other, especially often in the heat of the moment. Sometimes it's just that gentle, like my wife more than once has turned to me and said, hey, I'm on your team, because I'm coming hot, about whatever. And it's just that reminder, and it pulls me back every time, and it's like, oh yeah, that's right. This is not my enemy. This is my friend. This is more than my friend. This is my spouse, and she's rooting for me, and I'm acting like she's not, and that's stupid.
Yeah.
And it's just immediately
knock out the friendly fire.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's fantastic.
That's and I believe that's such a prime place for the enemy to shift in marriages, is in that moment of you're believing that they're the enemy, there's a shift. And then that's where the conversation where she's cheating or she's going off and doing her own thing, and then he's angry every day and he's shutting off and he's not communicating. And that's where that shift happens. It's like one of the places where a shift can happen, and then you got this whole other narrative of their marriage, which is really powerful. I mean, and that was just another way that the film, I love this idea of the shift. It's so good.
So good.
Awesome. Hey, Ronald from Iowa just invested $102. Welcome, Ronald. And John from Ohio invested $102 as well. Thank you, John, for your partnership. Susan from Alabama invested $102. Awesome. They just keep coming in. So the shift largely plays out as kind of a sci-fi film for most of its runtime. If you didn't know going in that it had this faith element, you'd kind of be very surprised by it by the time you got to the end. When he folds his arm. I mean, we've actually seen that as we've brought this film to secular film festivals. It plays great, and then it gets down to the end, and people are just kind of like, "Whoa!" Like this went in a totally different direction. It's almost like a twist at that point. Why do you think it's important to see quality media with elements like prayer and faith and things like that? I mean, should we even be doing that? What do you guys think?
I think yes. I think that, we love seeing all different kind of movies, and we are the reason why we're so excited about being on this call and, excited to talk to you is because we are so passionate about there needs to be more things that people are consuming that is making them think about deeper things and to go to God when things are hard. Like, I love that the movie depicts that. And the movie is obviously pointing, showing in so many ways of what's going on in our world. And I think it's vitally important just how, it's similar to what we're doing in social media. People say that to us, like, oh, why would social media is evil? Why would you ever even try to do anything good there? It's like, well, God calls us to be a light into the places that people are hanging out. And what people do is they're on social media, they're watching movies, they're watching shows. And so where there's so many people watching sci-fi movies. So to be able to watch a movie that's going to make them think, going to make, reach people that could change their lives, I think is so powerful. And even people that already, are believers, but to strengthen their marriage, to make them think about this battle that we're in our lives in a different way, and bigger questions that the film brings up of, these bad things that are happening and these things, I think is really important, necessary, in my opinion.
That's so good and so true. And I think that I agree with everything she said. You can see why I married her. She's amazing. What I love about, and what I think is so powerful about, movies like this, and why we loved it and fell in love with the project, is just the authenticity of pain and the authenticity of just hurt and heartache and heartbreak and division in our world. And people are suffering from that. And I think, Brock, you said something maybe at the beginning of the call that people, and maybe it wasn't with us, but that people there's like a connotation sometimes with Christian movies or Christian content, that it is almost, it's like not taken seriously. And I think that sometimes it's because it lacks the authenticity of life and what life can do to you, and therefore the need for Jesus and the need for God in our lives. And what I love about this is that it builds that connection. Like you said, you get however long into this short film and there's no mention, of anything like really faith related. And then you're going down this story and you're like, man, this guy is going through this just pain, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now this makes sense, and I can relate to that, and then it plugs me into the overall message, and it's really powerful. And I think that you conveyed that really well.
No, I appreciate that. You know, the authenticity thing, I think, is a really important thing. And I think you're right. I think sometimes it is missing. I had this conversation recently on a podcast I was on, and we really got deep into this. And we hit upon this idea of, you know, it's a strange thing, because with Christian media, what we're trying to do essentially is express truth, right? We're trying to express real, tangible truths that can help people. How then can we attach to that inauthentic characters and situations? Yeah. We can't attach inauthentic characters and situations to truth, because what that's going to do is that's going to make our truth look false. Right. It's going to make it look like a fairy tale. It's going to make it look like a mythology, because it's being propped up by something that is false and that is inauthentic. That authenticity is so important, I think, to truly carry the message of the gospel, and to truly carry the truths out that we have, and to carry them out into the world. And you do that by not being inauthentic. You do that by also telling a great story. I mean, there's lots of things that go into it. You don't want to just be a message movie, because nobody wants to watch that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, making a really good movie that's got these truths embedded within it, and that has things that are relatable, things that are authentic. I'm so glad you hit on that. Hey, Christina from Oregon just invested $198. Thank you, Christina. And Antione, did I pronounce that right? I don't know. From Alabama, invested $102. Thank you so much, Antione. Olga from Idaho invested $300. She's getting her name in the credits. And Garrett from Oklahoma invested $300. He is also going to be in the credits, maybe next to Olga. If you want to invest, of course, you can go right there to the website, angel.com/theshift. Okay, so here's something cool, something that you guys have not seen that we've put out, because I asked you this before this call. I asked you if you'd seen this, and I was hoping that the answer was no, and it was. And what you haven't seen is the animatic that we've put together. And if you've got a minute, I would love to show it to you and get your reaction. Are you cool with that? I'm putting you on the spot here. All right. So just to set this up, this is from the third act of the film, which means there's a whole bunch of stuff that's happened before this that you haven't seen. And so what this animatic is really about is showing you kind of the look and the feel and the pacing of the feature film. We're going to show you how we're going to get beyond the short film and show you really what our ambition is and what the scope is of the feature film. That's what this is about. But just to set this up, it's been many years since The Diner. Kevin and Satan have not seen each other. This is the first time that they've seen each other in years. And Kevin has been stranded on this dark world where this diner was. He's been stuck there. He's been hiding. And he is desperate to get off of this world and get back to his wife. That's his entire goal right now. So this is a little bit of a spoiler, but I think you're going to like it. And if you don't, you can say that. It's okay. We're not going to censor you. But let's watch this together, and then we'll come back for Caleb and Stefanie's reaction to the animatic.
You know what evil really is, Kevin? I mean, when you break it all down, it's not scary. It's not blood rites and red demons with horns and all that nonsense. It's just selfishness. Self before anyone else. Purest motivation there is, and I respect it so damn much. You hear that, Gabriel? I respect you.
Thank you, sir. Sorry. All out. Wasn't expecting company.
Yes, you were. You've been expecting company for 5 years now. I mean, that's your whole problem, Kevin. You keep expecting him to show up. And why shouldn't you? You prayed, he came. You knocked, he answered. Isn't it reasonable to expect he'll hold the door open? But he doesn't. He never does. When are you finally going to wake up and realize he doesn't take care of his own? He'll help you and make you think he loves you, and then he'll what? What does he say? He'll always be with you? No. Look at you. He's gone, and you're left holding the bag. alone.
It's a test.
A test? Kevin, are you even listening to me? You passed his test 5 years ago. How many tests are there supposed to be? I mean, where's the syllabus?
There's supposed to be one in that drawer.
Oh, Kevin. I'm trying to help you. I really am. My offer still stands. You never have to eat baked beans from a can again. Unless you love baked beans from a can, in which case I'll get your truck full. I don't judge. I have so much to give you if you'll let me. And, unlike him, once you're with me, that's it. I got your back for life.
What did you do with my son?
What?
Did you shift my son away?
Oh, Kevin. Go ahead.
I'm telling you, I don't know anyone named Daniel Asana. I don't know him.
Amna, Mary.
Priya, hide the girls.
Brigitte, come inside. Come inside.
Please, leave.
Hey!
Don't.
Gabriel, get down!
What are you doing in here?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Get out! Get out!
Oh, no! Gabriel?
You are not supposed to be here.
What?
Tina, please. Do you know where
where you are today?
Of course.
Tell me.
I'm far. Far, far away. Far, far away.
Tina? Tina? Do you know who I am?
Kevin, at the table.
That's right. It's Kevin. You remember, don't you?
Kevin at the table points. The multiplicity of everything opens up. Swallows. Big gulp. I'm eaten. In the words. Far away I go. So very far away. I am eaten in the words. I had a family, a husband, a daughter, a life.
Daughter?
What has he done to them?
I don't know.
Take me back. Take me away from here and take me back.
I don't know how. There is men, and they're after me, and they...
Take me back!
Tina, calm down.
No!
Let her go! Stop! Just stop!
Get back!
Please, just let her go! We are fine!
Tina, calm down!
Just stop!
This is a great flick. I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah?
She's this total badass who knows everybody's business because she's lived it all before. Owns this cop like a cop ain't never been owned.
Ugh, I hate cops. Hate them.
Telling you, great flick, great movie. Are you hungry? I need a sandwich. Can I get you girls anything?
I'm good, baby.
All right. I'll be back. Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
Who sent you?
No one.
Who are you? You have any idea whose house you're in? What you're into just by coming here? Did they even tell you?
No,
Shut up! Please, let me explain. What are you doing here? Look, I know this is confusing. I said, what are you doing here? This is my world! My world! I am not here for anything you have. If you'll just put the gun down, I'll be on my way. You've got one. Why would he give one to you? He didn't. Give it here. I can't do that. I said, give it here!
All right, that was The Shift Animatic. Wow. Stefanie and Caleb, you just watched that for the first time. Reaction? I'm putting you on the spot.
Do you go first?
Yeah, no, it was really powerful. Like I was very in it. I looked at us in the little screen that we have, and I was like, wow, we were both really focused in, and I thought it was really, really. Man, I want to see the rest of the movie. That's my reaction. Is I want to see what led to that point. You know, that. Perfect. I want to see these holes filled in to get to this place where he's running around and being shot at, and yeah, that's my reaction, I guess.
I know it was made me think. I'm like, I had a million thoughts running through my head. Like, what what is all these different things? Who are, I'm just like so interested to know. And then he saw the woman at the diner, right? That was was that the woman that he said to Satan that it was okay? So I just have I have so many questions. It makes me really like, okay, wait, don't stop. They're like, they were doing the countdown, and I was like, no, I want to keep watching and see see him get out of that. You just see him stuck in this place. And when I saw her in that mental institution, I just think of so many people that I know that have just been so smacked down by life and just so disillusioned and in so much pain, and just this desire. Even he was trying to go after God's word, and there was resistance, and just seeing that in different people's lives. There's a couple friends that I thought of, just of the way that things just pulled them so far from a path that God would want them to be on.
Did you almost cry?
You call me out like that?
No, she actually looked like she was about to cry. She's very compassionate and can very empathize really well with people and their stories and stuff. So I was wondering, she looks so in the thing. So I was
probably a huge asset in the work you do, but probably a huge detriment when watching movies. I'm guessing there's a lot of tears.
I know, it's true.
Yeah. That's great.
It was really well done.
You guys enjoyed it. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Hey, Luann from California just invested $399. Thank you, Luann. And Richard from Wisconsin invested $300. Both Luann and Richard are going to have their names in the credits. And John C. from South Carolina invested $999. Wow. Thank you, John. And Terry from North Carolina invested $102. Thank you so much, Terry. And Vicky from Utah invested $102. I'm going to be in Utah next week.
Yeah, you are.
Michael from Texas invested $498. Thank you, Michael. Wow. They just keep coming in.
This is definitely going to be a different type of Christian movie. It's so interesting to see it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it all.
I'm so glad to hear you say that, because it really, that is our goal. Our goal really is to make a different type of Christian movie, to make the kind of Christian movie that doesn't preach for even 1 minute, but that has something to say, and that you can watch for stretches of a time and think to yourself, oh, this is just a really great movie. I'm not really getting hit over the head with any faith messages at all, because it's so embedded deep within it. We don't need to have to call it out. We don't have to have somebody, raise their arm and raise their hand and say, oh, by the way, that was a Bible verse you just heard. We don't need any of that.
No nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah, no nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And that's because we want people to come to this film who aren't of our faith. That's what we want. We want this to be a crossover film, and based on the reception that we've gotten from some of the people we know who do work in the industry, that's what they see when they read this script and they see this animatic. They see a film that can reach everybody, not just the faithful. And I think that is a worthy effort. So I'm glad that you guys see that too.
I definitely see that. I'm excited for people that would never ever see a Christian film or be around anything like that to be very interested and invested in watching this, and then what God can do from there is so cool. But definitely branches out, which is really powerful.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you for your thoughts. Thank you for joining. Thank you for giving us such great perspective on Kevin and Molly. That was really interesting for me in particular. What are your last thoughts, and where can people find you? Let us know where we can find you.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you can find us on mainly, most of what we do is on Instagram. So Caleb Rouse and Stefanie.
Caleb Jason Rouse is on Instagram, and then Stefanie.Rouse with Stephanie with an F on Instagram. So mostly there, and then our websites.
Yes, and we have a book actually coming out in December. So our first book, a book on prayer, actually, 365-day devotional on prayer, coming out in December. So
And what's the title? Plug it properly here so everybody can get it.
It's called A Year of Prayer. A Year of Prayer, 365 devotions and
yeah. It has a really long title, but A Year of Prayer is what it's at. And we're really excited about it because we feel like God really spoke through it, and it's a message for people at this time.
Yeah, and just thank you so much for the honor of being on and just getting to talk and see that preview and getting to talk about a film that's going to change so many lives and get to be a part of what you guys are doing is really cool.
Yeah, really, really honored that you guys would have us here, and we just totally believe in it. And any way that we can continue to support it, we'd love to be able to do that. We really believe in the project.
Well, we appreciate you very much, and thank you for that. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You guys have a great evening. Thank you.
Yeah, you too.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye. Later. All right, that was Caleb and Stefanie Rouse joining us. A really, really awesome conversation. I loved hearing their perspective, and the Animatic, they were blown away.
Yeah,
which is cool.
It was cool hearing them talk too, because I grew up in a house where my parents did a lot of marriage ministry, a lot of marriage counseling.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's cool.
they were formally trained about family life and so on and so forth. So hearing everything you're saying, I just immediately was thrown back into my childhood and just overhearing these conversations. It was cool. So it was a nice little nostalgia for me.
That's cool. Well, one of the things we've been talking about a lot is the script for the feature film. And like Jeff Harmon said earlier, even with the little bit of hours we have left here, there is time to go to angel.com/theshift, read the script, and then decide whether or not you want to invest. That script is what convinced Jeff that this film has got to be made. It's what has convinced so many other people, and it's what's convinced Sarah. Sarah is a screenwriter who recently read the Shift script, and she recorded her thoughts for us. Here's Sarah on the Shift script.
So my name is Sarah Rose Wasson. I'm a screenwriter and a musician, and I honestly thought I was like one of the only people who really felt like creating films that reach the lost and the unsaved with a message about God that isn't preachy, but that actually will meet them where they're at. So I was so excited to read The Shift because I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one. It's brilliant. It's edgy. Using this dystopian future sci-fi kind of Orwellian setting is perfect for right now because we are currently living in a dystopian Orwellian sci-fi reality. It's such a brilliant concept because you could show anybody who isn't a Christian this film, they would get it, they would like it, it would be interesting to them, and it would plant these seeds of, do you choose the evil or the good in you? Do you seek for a God who's out there even in the midst of the darkness, or do you give in to your selfish desires, which is basically letting Satan control you? I was so blown away by the script. It just read so quickly and so beautifully, and being a screenwriter and having grown up in the entertainment industry as a kid, I'm pretty picky about scripts. Every single page is just like boom, boom, boom. It just flows. And I have no doubt, and I have full confidence that if Brock can write a script that's that tight and that brilliant and that innovative and that edgy and that, it's like paradigm breaking. This is the kind of script that can totally reach across to the lost, to anybody out there in the world right now who doesn't know God, but who's going, what is going on? Is there something bigger out there? If there's a God, how can all this be happening? And if there is a God, how do I get to know him? And how do I not get caught up in the evil that's taking our world apart? This is the kind of script that can just reach right into that person's heart and speak to them.
All right, that was Sarah on the script, and we so appreciate her words. As you can see, Orlando has left me, and that means it is time to bring in our very special guest, my wife.
I've always wanted to do that.
You always wanted to do that. You slid in. Yeah, let's make sure you stay in frame. This is my wife, Erin Heasley, and she is joining me right now. If you've ever seen Erin on one of these live streams before, you know that this is worth telling people that we just kicked it up a notch. I have no idea what's going to happen. I have an agenda right now as far as what we're going to talk about.
The sunsuit?
But that means almost nothing when Erin is with us.
Guys, there's a sunsuit right next door. It's a big giant sunsuit. And I'm been trying to convince Brock all night that if we hit 1.2, he should put it on.
Yeah, and that's not going to happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit with Erin tonight about her perspective on the shift. She has been right here with me the entire time, obviously, has been through all the tiers, the ups and downs. When Greg talked, Jeff earlier talked about grinding. Erin has been grinding right alongside me, and so it's particularly poignant to have her on tonight as we close out this campaign, and we're closing it out strong. We've had a number of new investments that have just come in. Erin, you want to read them off for us?
I do. I want to see them.
All right, let's check them out. What do we got? Who we got?
John from Oregon invested $102. Are you doing this just to see if I know the states?
Yes.
Yes. It's from Oregon. Robert from Texas invested $102. Thanks, Robert.
Yeah, those are easy states.
Sandra from Pennsylvania also invested $102. Thank you, Sandra. And Jenna from California invested $501.
We live in California.
Yeah,
That's a
we
gimme.
do. So did Kendall from California. They invested $1,500. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, get back to me when there's a hard state. That was easy. That was easy.
If you want to have lunch with him for $50,000, I'll come too and mock him as he fails the state.
Thanks so much. We are currently at $1,117,185 in total investment. Our goal tonight is to get to $50,000.
Or 1.2 in a sunsuit.
Our goal tonight is to get to $50,000 in additional investment since the time we began this live stream. I think we're currently at I think we're at 23,000. So we got a little bit of ways to go, but they are coming in very quickly and in various amounts. So I think it could absolutely still happen tonight. Heather from Utah, for example, is just invested for $501. Thank you very much, Heather.
Why are they all and one?
Because it has to be in multiples of 3. Because the shares are $3 a piece. So every single one is a multiple of 3. Adrian from Florida just invested $102. Thank you very much, Adrian. So Erin, you we've talked before about how you played Molly in the Shift short film. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that you had to do in that was that you had to be a contentious spouse.
Yes.
In a role written by your husband, who is me.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yes. Well, somebody might have just joined halfway through that sentence, and I just helped them.
That's okay.
So now they know what's going on.
It's been a long month, friends.
It's been a long month. What did you have any feelings about that? The dialogue, did you think I was picking on you at all with any of that? What?
Not with the dialogue. I was really concerned when I read the script that this was your passive aggressive way of saying there was a problem here. That's how you saw me, and you were I didn't know how to say it, so I wrote this short film. Right. Will you play this character? There was a moment of concern of that. But I think every couple, no matter how loving they are, has moments where they are unkind or short with one another or aren't at their best. And so to me, it felt very, very, normal. Mm-hmm. In the sense that they were, then when I read she was having an affair, that's not so normal. But the idea that they were having a dispute, and we fought a lot when we were first married about Brock not paying bills. So that was another concern. I was very concerned that this was somehow his get out of jail free pass. I shifted. It's not my fault that I can't remember anything. But that's not it either.
No. Although it was based a little bit on conversations we've had. Mm-hmm. I won't. Yeah. We've said. Sure. I think we've said those things to each other.
Yeah.
At pretty much.
Brock's never thrown spoons at the wall.
No. And to be clear, I did not throw. Kevin does not throw that spoon at Molly. Somebody thought
oh my
that.
gosh,
and it's
no.
It's not. She walks.
No,
she's
fully
gone.
Exits.
Yeah, she's gone.
Yeah. No. Oh, I can see though, kind of
Yeah.
But the camera angle's wrong. No, that's at the wall. That's at the wall. And Brock doesn't throw things.
No.
Promise.
No, I can't even throw a baseball properly.
That's true.
No, that's not true. Actually, I can throw a baseball properly.
That's so true.
I just choose not to. So I know that this has been a heck of a journey for you, mm-hmm. and there has been difficulty. What would you say is don't share anything you don't want to share, but because I want to talk about what's difficult and then talk about what's great, because I think I think it is always important to acknowledge both. I mean, I feel like that's so much of what the shift is. It's so much of what, I mean, in my writing that I always try to do is to say, you know, not everything is great and not everything is terrible. Everything is usually pretty much in the middle, because we have not yet ascended to heaven. You know, we are not yet in paradise. We are in a place where, you know, the light and the dark live side by side. And so I think it's always important to acknowledge that. So for you, I mean, what is difficult about this whole process and what we are doing, and that you feel comfortable sharing? And just as the spouse of a filmmaker, I just feel like there's a unique challenge there that most people don't really ever have to deal with.
Yeah,
it's a very select group of people that are going through what you're going through.
I think that the hard part is that it's just all consuming, is that it just swallows up every heartbeat of the day. There isn't, you know, the mood, I'll just be real with you. The mood of the day is set by how the campaign's going, or what calls haven't worked, or what they haven't. Okay.
There you go.
All right.
Getting cut off.
The kids will come to me because they know that dad's busy and I'm busy too. And so there's this constant juggling of how much of ourselves do we give to the project, and how and when do we hold back. And I think a crowdfunding campaign is really a vulnerable experience, because typically a filmmaker will put out a film and then they can stand behind the work. But these crowdfunding campaigns are really about asking people to believe enough in you to get you to the work. So it feels very, very, very vulnerable, very, very raw, constantly.
Yeah, because we're not just saying, here's this movie. We're also saying, here's us. Here's who we are.
Right.
You know?
Right. And like, I laughed until I cried today about the mean tweets video. Like, it was hilarious. But the reality is that when you get a deluge of those over and over, you know, we all have that voice inside of us that says, like, you shouldn't be doing this, you're not good enough. And when those constantly come in as a stream, it's just a very vulnerable experience to stand up in front of the world and say, I believe I can make something. Do you want to do it with me? And it takes so much time.
Yeah.
And it just, I like to say the shift just likes to take and take and take. Because it feels that way sometimes.
It requires some sacrifice on the part of our family.
It does. It does.
There is an aspect to that.
And so yeah, it's not an easy part. It is not for the faint of heart.
No, it's not. It's not. But, you know, anything worth doing is usually difficult. We both know that. And so let's talk about that then. I mean, like, what is it why is this all worth it? What is the good in all of this?
Sure. I think, well, it depends on the day that you ask me that question.
Yeah.
But I think the good is, you know, you create and Brock works. If I showed you a picture from the like long shot, you would laugh. Brock works at a tiny little desk in like the corner of our bedroom. And I do too. Like, I work remotely from home in the other little corner of our bedroom on a tiny little desk. And when you see him hunched over the computer working, doing what he does, it can feel very small. And so when the world starts to catch the vision of what has been toiling around, that we've been discussing and seeing and experiencing all of this time, it's an incredibly exciting moment to know that this story that you've been called to share is starting to find its people. Like, that's really, really rewarding, and feels like maybe for the first time the shift is starting to give a little, which is very exciting.
Yeah. Well, I think it's definitely tonight. I mean, for example, we have Heather
from Utah,
who just invested $498. Thank you so much, Heather. Ryan from Massachusetts invested $5,001 just now. Ryan, thank you.
See, Ryan wants the sunsuit.
The sunsuit is not going to happen. Will you stop trying to make that a thing? That is not going to happen.
It's totally
It's not going to happen. Let's see. David says, I honestly don't really know what a sunsuit is.
I know, but don't you want to know?
It's literally a giant foam yellow ball that you put your head and arms through and wear as a costume.
And it has rays.
It was done for a commercial we did. It's not something you can actually even physically wear.
It would take up, you can too.
Not in this chair. That cannot happen. Like, it's physically impossible what you're leading people down a
1.2
wrong
million. We
path.
can do it, friends. He's dressed in his filmmaker costume.
Thank you, Brett. That's right.
No,
this
no.
is a fine outfit that I am currently wearing.
I also want to say an apology. I took him to task on your behalf that he did not wear a costume to ShiftCon like he promised.
Okay, I really meant to. I did mean to do that.
Tell the people you're sorry.
I am sorry I didn't. I'm a little busy during these campaigns, and it was just one of those things that I failed to pull together at the last minute like I should have. My idea actually for
I
wearing
want to know
the
what
costume,
it was.
you might think it was really lame. My idea was to dress up as Kevin from the short film because I still have the costume in our closet.
I was going to say it's hanging in our closet still.
Yeah.
Not Kevin from the Animatic where he wears a sweater.
No. The Kevin from the short film that I have both versions of the shirt, the clean one and the one that's all torn up, and his tie and his pants.
You people deserved that.
I could have worn that.
I'm sorry.
But I didn't. And partly because I realized that I couldn't pull off the beard, nor could I pull off the hair. So it would have been kind of lame in some ways.
No.
But anyway, so the costume didn't happen, but maybe another time. So let's talk about what you just hit on something, this idea that here I am toiling away on my little desk, and it doesn't look like much is going on. It is a little desk. We're look, we don't need a lot of space, and we got kids, and anyway, it doesn't matter. Then the Animatic comes out, which I was working on for months, and I'm sure looked like this little thing. And you were very disconnected from that process in a lot of ways. You didn't know what was going on, but I know that you were pretty impressed when you saw that. Was that kind of one of those, mind expanding moments where it's like, oh, this is so much bigger than it looks when I'm at my little desk?
I, like Orlando, was not a fan of the idea of an Animatic.
Right.
Because
it takes a lot of
it
time
just
and
takes
work.
so much time. And Jeff is such a big thinker. He's such a big thinker, but whenever he thinks big, I'm like, shh, too much. And so when Brock's like, we're going to do an Animatic, I was like, oh, yay. And I still don't totally know why you didn't illustrate it, because Brock's an incredibly...
because it would have taken decades. I'm not as good an artist as
He's an
Kevin.
incredibly talented artist. Don't let him lie to you. But no, when the Animatic happened, it was really exciting to see more. And we had gotten back from our scouting trip in Georgia, and I was in charge on that trip of taking video whenever Brock and Orlando and the guys would start talking about a location. It was my job to capture the conversation and then capture the space. And a lot of the space in the Animatic we had been scouting and looking at. So it was really fun to see, to think back on those spaces and see the conversations that I had filmed and have them make sense. So yeah, it was really fun.
Now, and you haven't read the script.
I have not. But before we get into that, Ray from Minnesota invested $150.
I think is Montana.
It is not.
No,
Montana.
it's not Montana.
No,
it's
and Edwin
You're right, it is
from
Minnesota.
Florida, thank you, invested $102.
Awesome. Thank you, Ray and Edwin. Oh,
and Teresita from Florida invested $102 as well. Thank you, Teresita.
thank you all. What was I saying? I don't remember now.
I don't know either.
I was going off about something. It just left me. Let's see here. We're just going to do this live. We're going to figure this out live. Feel free to ask me anything if you have something. We're currently at $1,123,140 in investments. We are getting closer. Oh, it just went up again, apparently. Yeah. So we're getting closer and closer to that 50K goal for while we're live.
Jennifer wants to know.
That's right. You haven't read the script. That's what I was going to talk about.
No, I haven't. He dropped it, and then everyone's like, "What?" It's true. I have not read the script, and I will tell you why. For a couple of reasons. The first is that there's nothing more terrifying when your spouse is a creative person than the thought of their creativity being bad. And then what do you do with that? Especially when, especially when you're in deep already. The last thing you need is for it to be bad. And so I went through this period where I was terrified that if I read it, I wouldn't like it. And then what would I do? But also, I don't like science fiction, and I really hate time travel.
There's no time travel in the film.
I know, but shifting is like time travel is cousin.
Time travel doesn't have a cousin.
It does, and it's called shifting. And so, so I'm waiting now because like I've waited this long, like I've made a stance and I've waited this long. Like I want to see it fully fleshed out and fully created. Like I don't want to read it. I want to see it, and it's my faith that I will get to see it that prevents me from reading it. How's that for spin?
Wow, that's some really, really heavy spin there. So congrats on that, at least. Very, very heavy spin. All right.
Ooh, Tina from New Jersey invested $300.
Awesome. Do you know what that qualifies Tina for? Which perk?
Yes, she's in the end credits next to Shama.
Very nice. That's right. Shama Murma also invested.
And Deborah from Florida invested $300. The people want the sunsuit.
The people.
They're speaking.
Nobody knows.
Orlando, go get it.
I have described it, and they still don't know what it is. It doesn't matter. Yeah, we don't. Orlando doesn't want to get fired, and I will fire him. Okay, so what? I'm gonna just say, like, if you have a question, you can ask it. Like, you can put me on the spot if you want to.
Okay. I want to know, when you cast me as Molly, was it just because I lived in the house? Or
yes.
Also, didn't I ask at this next thing that my name title be Erin? She will not be in the feature film.
I think you did. I think we forgot that. Maybe we can get John to do a corrective on that.
I will not be in the feature film. We covered that last time.
Yes, we covered that last time.
No.
And why won't you be in the feature film?
Because I am not Jennifer Garner.
I would love to get Jennifer Garner, but we don't know that can happen.
Call me.
No.
No, I have a life and a job other than this.
Yes, you do. You have a very successful job.
I do the things.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. Will not be in the film. I love it. Is it John? Is that
John?
John, thank you.
You can thank John for that.
You're my favorite. No, I love coming to set and like handing out water bottles and loving on people and telling them they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Like that's my sweet spot. And I like to play like this, but I don't have any desire to
and that's fair.
Be an actress.
And that's fair. So, are there any stories from you've seen me across a lot of filmmaking endeavors and things? Like you just talked about being on set. You've done it several times, and I think you are a huge help and blessing on set. What have you seen from your vantage point that people might find interesting? Because most people don't really ever get that opportunity.
I wish I had brought the picture. One of my favorite moments from the pitch video that we just did was at the church when everything had been set up. I played the angel, by the way. Can I say that? Like,
yeah, you can
I'm
say
the
that.
one screaming about not feeling safe. Like I like to pop in and do stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
I would wear a sunsuit. But anyway, whatever.
Physically impossible in the chair I am currently sitting in.
Challenge accepted. I just lost my train of thought. That's your fault.
You oh my gosh.
You like to pop
in. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to pop in. I feel
you were
like,
the angel. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like on set, people don't take the time to like rah for each other. They're busy, right? So like I like to be the person that comes and cheerleads.
We're doing the job.
But on the pitch video set, like we had taken down all the Christmas stuff, and extras were sitting around, and we were waiting to have lunch or dinner, and the stage was dirty, and I'm sitting there talking to Brad with Angel Studios, and I look over and Brock's got a broom and he's like cleaning the stage so that it would be better than how we found it. And like I stopped and took a picture of it because it was so emblematic of the attitude of like no one's above any station. It's about making the best possible film possible. And if that includes sweeping the stage, then Brock's going to do it. Later on, he cleaned windows because it needed to be done. And he was standing there and could. And so I love that attitude of service to the project. There is no, sometimes to a fault, there's no ego present when you direct, which is always really...
How can that be a fault?
Well, I think sometimes you're I don't know, there's a level of, like a director has to be slightly bossy sometimes.
Well, yeah.
And you are such a servant that sometimes you could, whoosh a little.
Okay, all right. I can see that.
Yeah,
but
it's a compliment.
It's a compliment. It's also a little bit of a dig. I think on set, I will throw my weight when I need to.
No,
on
absolutely.
set. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, you gotta. you don't want to be a tyrant, and there's plenty of stories of, directors who were tyrants and everybody feels like everybody serves them. I think a good leader does see himself as a servant.
No, absolutely. And
I think that's important.
And you do that really, really nicely. And it's always fun to get to be on set and watch it. It's always fun.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there really is nothing like it. Like and look, for anybody who's never been on a film set, if you did it for the first time, you'd be like, this is so boring.
Oh, totally.
Because it is boring. Because you sit around and you wait for things to happen more than you actually do things.
So invest $25,000 and you can come be bored.
But what's exciting about it is when the action does happen. You do have something to do, and you have to do it. You have to do it very quickly and very efficiently, and you live for those moments, and that makes everything else worth it. Of course, in my position as a director, there's a few spots like director, like cinematographer, that you're never bored because you're constantly moving, especially a director who has to make, hundreds of decisions every single day, and keep a track of everything in their head.
Well, and the days are so long that if you don't keep moving, you'll
just nod off.
So I love to be like the water person on set that just walks around with water bottles and says, "You're doing a good job." Like that's my favorite.
And that is an undervalued thing to have on set.
Erin, in the film? No.
Nice.
John, yes.
Nice. John gets you.
John gets me. Do you all have anything you want to know about Brock?
I'll tell you what, we'll give you a chance to submit your questions for Erin. It doesn't have to be about me. It can be about just about anything. We're gonna check out you mentioned the making of the pitch video. Let's check out the making of the pitch video. Let's watch that real quick, and then we'll come right back with Erin. If we got any questions for her, we'll hit those. Otherwise, we'll say goodbye and thank you.
All right.
All right. This is the making of the pitch video. One of the key elements for a successful pitch video is a strong visual hook right at the top. And the way that we're achieving this is with Legos. So our spokesperson, our guy, is going to have 2 Lego replicas of the 10 Commandments. He's going to pick them up and he's going to throw them down on the ground and they're going to smash into pieces. So my mind has been all kinds of places, everywhere except on this Lego 10 Commandments. So things I forgot to do. I forgot to ask him, for pictures of what it's going to look like and like size comparisons and anything. So we're going to take these out of the packaging, we're going to give them to our actor, and he's going to throw them down, and whatever happens, happens. We have one shot at this. There's no do-overs, there's no retakes. We're going to throw them on the ground, and we're just going to see what happens. So I feel like our fear here is that it wouldn't break apart. That's not my fear. My fear is that it's literally going to break apart while I'm holding it. Most faith-based movies fall apart quickly.
Most faith-based movies fall apart quickly.
Most faith-based movies fall apart quickly.
Cut. It's weird to think that maybe God helped us break the commandments, but in a way I feel like we lucked out through divine intervention on breaking those tablets perfectly. So we also did the mic drop.
Don't drop it unless you're confident in the delivery.
And the first time I did it, I threw it down with way too much force and it like shattered before it even hit the ground. So that was fun, but we nailed it on the second one. Click the link to invest in The Shift today.
So what's really great about Jason is that he comes across as such a regular guy. He always is completely inside of his characters. He completely inhabits them. You never feel like he's winking at you in any way. You believe him when he says, hey, this is a faith-based film that's also sci-fi and it's really good. When Jason says it, you believe it. I mean, it helps that it's true, but Jason really, really brings it across. He's just a super talented dude.
We are here at Cross City Christian Church. This is actually my home church. We're excited to get this stuff going.
I don't feel safe!
Hey, you don't cry until the last scene!
So I'm definitely one of those people who always felt like I watch faith-based films because more out of obligation, because I want to support than for my cinema sensibilities. The message was great. Production value tends to be a little lacking, and that's primarily because there's no money in it. And be able to marry the message with the production value of Hollywood film, I think it can be game-changing.
To be here today and to see all of this and to start to see people catch
match the vision that he's had all the way back when we were in our kitchen throwing spoons at the wall. The idea of it being seen and being enjoyed and uplifting others, it's just an incredibly validating and moving moment, and each day you can feel it tangibly that we're one step closer.
Okay, we just wrapped. I'm so excited for people to see what we have cooked up here and just to get this message out to people. I think this is really going to grab people who have never heard of The Shift before. They're going to come across this video and they're not going to be able to stop watching. I think it's just going to be a magnetic experience. We're so excited for what this means. We're excited to invite more people to join us. We want you to join us. If you go to angel.com/theshift, you can invest today. You can partner with us and make this film happen. Right there. Call it.
Scene 2, scene T2H21B21.
For the record, you'll never do that on another set ever again. This is like the most weirdest thing ever.
Never said that.
Yeah.
And action. All right. I feel like we're back, and yet I was hearing it still, so something was weird.
Guys, I brought the sunsuit.
Oh my gosh.
It's literally a giant sun.
Don't we want Brock to wear this?
No, we don't. No, we don't. Hey, John, I hate to do this. We're having some technical difficulties. We're hearing ourselves, which is really strange.
Yeah.
We got about a 10-second delay. But we're going to try to talk through this. So I think we do have some questions that have come in for Erin. We are definitely having some technical difficulties right now. I'm not sure that that anybody can hear us.
Go to video. Go to pitch video. Or not pitch video, but Animatic.
John, let's go ahead and cut to a video while we sort through this. Let's cut to the 10 reasons to not invest in the shift. Let's cut to that while we sort this out. Can we do that? Look, we get it. You're sick of hearing about The Shift and what a great film it is and why you should support it. So you know what? Let's look at the other side. There are plenty of reasons to not invest in The Shift. So here we go. Top 10 reasons to not invest in The Shift. Number 10. Being involved in the making of a feature film is exciting and fun and deeply rewarding. And the last time you did something exciting and fun, you were rewarded with a broken hip. There. Number 9. Weirdly, you have an aversion to bricks. So many bricks. Number 8. Jesus' name is spoken clearly, and you prefer his name muttered or sung in a limerick.
There once was a man named Jesus, and he went looking for some cheeses, but he thought...
That's enough. Number 7. You're a vegetarian, and all that meat eating grosses you out. Okay, we can see that, but to be fair, so was she. She was pretty grossed out. She was a vegetarian actress. Number 6, there's a prayer in it, and you hate prayer. It is your least favorite part of worship, right after reading the Bible. Number 5, there are relatable characters in the film with flaws and problems you can identify with. And only perfect people without struggle are interesting to you. Remind me never to let you pick the movie on movie night. Number 4, you hate being a part of putting something good out into the world. People have already been comforted in their trials and sorrows and have had their hearts changed and their lives touched by the shift, but sure, okay, maybe that's not your thing. Number 3, faith-based films are just fine the way they are, thank you very much, and they should never be different or appeal to anyone new. Number 2, you hate money. There's a potential return on your investment here, and, you know, money is coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere. No, wait, that's sand. And finally, number 1, the shift portrays Satan as bad, and you don't like that message. What, did he buy you lunch or something once? What?
Just have a coffee, please. Are you sure it's my treat?
So there you are. Those are your top 10 reasons to not invest in the shift. Now, if you would disagree with those reasons and you'd like to join us, you can do that right now. And if you don't, I don't know, was it the meeting? Was that the one? I don't know. So I was looking a lot thinner in that video, which I enjoyed very much. We had a little bit of a stretching issue there. Sorry about the technical issues that we had earlier. We got that all sorted out, thank goodness. And we were hearing ourselves like 10 seconds after we were speaking. And
it was kind of gross.
Really, really strange and really, really off-putting.
Yeah.
David says, great to see you two both here. Hello from David and Shelley. Hello, David and Shelley.
Hi.
Very glad to see you that you're here with us. Hugo from Illinois just invested $501.
Yes, and you got to Illinois fast.
I did. Deborah from Florida invested $300. Both Hugo and Deborah are going to be in the credits.
The sunsuit.
Oh, the sunsuit
and
has
look what happened.
So
Tina
much
from
power.
New Jersey invested $300.
Thank you, Tina. Great name, Tina. Hopefully you're cool with how we used it in the film.
She's far, far away.
She's far, far away. This is my wife, Erin Heasley, and she has joined us for a little bit here. I think it's time to say goodbye. However, we did have one question come in asking if I prefer cats or dogs.
I think it was me. I think they wanted to know if
you prefer cats or dogs. Okay. Well, which do you prefer?
Dogs, clearly.
Okay, cats, clearly for me. So that's fun. That's why we have so many pets.
Cats just lay there.
This is why they're fantastic.
They don't do anything.
Exactly.
But eat my food.
I can be on the couch, though, minding my own business, and all of a sudden a dog has got his nose on my hand trying to get me to pet him.
Because they're sweet and loving.
Yeah, I know. It's irritating.
Won't ever be in the film ever. John could totally work
John's
for The
having fun
Bachelor.
tonight.
You know how they always have like the best titles? Like John,
Right.
if Angel Studios doesn't work out. Call The Bachelor.
All right. Hey, Ronald from Tennessee just invested $102. Thank you, Ronald.
Woohoo!
This is our final night. If you're just joining us, this is our final night of investment. We are closing this thing up in about 5 hours, 4.5 hours. It is all over. It is all over. And so if you want to come in, it is now is the time. We would welcome you. You're going to go to angel.com/theshift. You can see all kinds of info there as to what this film is all about. And why it's important.
How far away are the good people from hearing another embarrassing Brock story?
I think they're a little far still at this point. I think they're, let's see, we're at 1,124,643. I really like saying that 1 million part.
$1 million.
Which means we're about $20,000 away from
a fabulous Brock story.
So I guess it really depends on how. I think we will see another $20,000 in investment tonight. The question is are we going to be live when it happens? So right now, though, I think we're going to say goodbye to Erin.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us. I really
Bye, guys.
appreciate it. And I want to show you guys something really cool. This is a recent trip we took to LA in which we connected with some very important partners on this project who are going to bless this project in a very significant way, including with some cutting-edge technology. And I am here in LA to visit a couple of very important people. For the first time, I'm going to meet executive producer Franco Sama in person. Also later this afternoon, I'm going to be visiting with Tom Armbruster, who is the president and CEO of the 209 Group, which is a special effects house here in Los Angeles. I'm going to see the brand new tech that he's got. Very excited to talk with him about our ideas. And more importantly, I'm just really excited to see this tech. This stuff is insane, and I can't wait to see it for myself in person. Meeting with Franco finally was fantastic. He took us on a tour of LA Center Studios where he works, has several sound stages where a number of productions have been hosted over the years, including one of my favorite shows, Mad Men. I never get tired of the environment that movies and TV shows happen in. There's just something that's kind of electric about it. I'm like a kid in a candy store with that kind of stuff. We got to talk about everything that's going on and how good the investment is going already, which he was very excited about, of course. We were able to meet with Tom Armbruster at 209 Group. We were able to see his whole setup. He just last week installed LED walls, which is the same background tech that kind of takes the place mostly of blue screens and green screens and allows you to just put an actor in an environment that looks photoreal, but that actually is not. And the great thing is that these aren't like photographs that you put on the screens. These are 3D renders that are done with a video game engine called Unreal. And that means that the environment can be manipulated. You can change the lighting, you can move a scoreboard from one place to another, you can turn on the fan or turn it off, and you can do all of this digitally. Pretty much anything you can imagine that you can do within this 3D rendered environment. And even when you're standing there with it face to face, it looks 100% real. And of course, it looks even more real in camera. And so getting to check out that space with Tom and hearing him talk about his career and how he came into it and how excited he is for this technology, about how he just met with the Marvel guys last week, and the fact that Tom saw the short film of The Shift and believed in it so much and what we're doing so much that he offered this space and this technology to us to use for free is still a mind-blowing thing for me. Orlando is more of a visual effects guy than I am. I mean, I love visual effects, but Orlando knows visual effects, works in visual effects. He was really taken with it and understood, of course, everything Tom said on a level that I, quite frankly, did not. And we also had the chance to talk with Tom about some of the sequences that we want to pull off. Thankfully, everything we talked about, everything we want to do, Tom could see clearly how it could be done, and he saw very clearly, as I do, how these spaces, which a couple years ago didn't even exist, are really the best spaces to do these sequences in for The Shift. So we're going to have some state-of-the-art visual effects, the kind of which a film of our size never really would have access to otherwise. And we're able to do that because of Tom and because he is somebody who believes in what we're doing and wants to support us. That kind of support is how we make this film even better than it would be otherwise. And I am very, very grateful for that. This was our LA trip. We got so much more to do before this movie's ready to be made, but this was an important day. This was an important day to connect with Tom and connect those dots with Franco as well. It's coming together. That's what I see happening. It's just coming together. All right, so that is how we are going to be upping our game. That's just one example of how we're going to be upping our game with the feature film from the short film, is having access to this technology, which is going to allow us to execute some of these shifting sequences and making it look, pretty real and doing it on a budget. Because Tom, as you heard in the video, getting access to that technology for free.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
And it's brand new technology. I mean, the first show to ever use that was The Mandalorian, which is only a couple of years old.
Yeah.
So it's a huge, huge blessing to have Tom on our corner and to be able to use that technology.
But if you're watching it like behind the scenes on Mandalorian, how that was made, like it's incredible.
It's mind-boggling. Yeah. It's so hard to wrap your head around when you're just seeing the video.
But it's weird because like part of it, like it makes perfect sense. But the other part's like, how are you doing this?
Yeah.
It's really amazing.
Totally. Hey, Amy from Florida just invested $150. Thank you so much, Amy. We appreciate you. Thank you. Some of the other people that we've brought on, of course, to up our game for the feature film is Dallas Jenkins as an executive producer. We've got Dan Hasseltine and Matthew S. Nelson as composers. All of those three of those gentlemen worked on The Chosen. Dallas is the creator, and Matt and Dan as the composers. We also have Brandon Jones, who is a sound designer. Just his newest movie is Finch with Tom Hanks. He did all the sound design for that. And actually, I was watching that the other night, and of course, the sound design is absolutely incredible. There's like 3 or 4 people in the cast of that film. Like it's him and this dog and this robot, and the robot was played by an actor. You see one flashback where there's like this little girl, and then there's this computer voice, and the computer voice is like 5th billing because because that's all that's all who's in the movie. and I was watching the credits and I realized, oh, Emily Jones is the computer voice. Really? Emily Jones is Brandon's wife.
Really?
So she's
awesome.
like 5th billed behind Tom Hanks in this movie, probably because he pulled her into a closet for an afternoon and said, "Hey, say these words."
Yep.
And then she's the computer voice.
That's awesome.
Which is so cool. But yeah, Brandon works on some pretty huge movies. A Quiet Place, a bunch of Transformers movies, and just a cool dude.
Yeah, totally cool dude.
So he's working with us. We also just recently brought on Darby Faciento, who is going to be designing our computer user interfaces in the film. There are some significant things like that we're going to need, like on the deviators. And Darby, of course, just finished up work on Loki, and the show Hawkeye comes out tonight. He worked on Hawkeye
tonight.
Yeah, it comes out.
We need
tonight.
to wrap this up. Can we
right?
Oh man, it's gonna be a late night. Okay.
But it doesn't start till midnight, so you got plenty of time.
Okay.
But yeah. So it's just a sampling of the talent, and of course we also have us. We're no slouches. And then Kyle Gents, who is our DP on our short film, and like us has stepped and leveled up his game quite a bit in the intervening years, and has shot a number of feature films.
Think about the short film versus the pitch video.
Right.
That's the team. I mean, there's a huge visual noticeable upgrade from the short film to the pitch video.
Right. Well, the pitch video is doing a very different thing.
Sure,
that is not how we would ever the feature film.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, you still, in terms of the shots and the aesthetic and the look,
absolutely,
it's very, very polished.
Yes. So we're very much looking forward to having all of those people come and just elevate this entire project. Let's, in fact, you know what? One of the people that I think is somebody that you ought to hear from, somebody that's very important to this project, is Dallas Jenkins. And we saw his endorsement video earlier. He sat down and he talked about why he's on the shift. But Dallas and I also sat down together recently, and we spoke about the shift. We talked about why he's on it. And also we talked about some of the trickier aspects of the shift. For example, that it mixes sci-fi with faith. We get a lot of people in Facebook, pushing back on that, saying, why are you guys doing this? And Dallas spoke to that directly. Yes. And so here's me and Dallas, pre-recorded interview, but hang on for this because it's really great. And Dallas has some really significant things to say about why the shift is so important. Dallas, of course, is the creator of The Chosen. He has a 20-year career in film and just has done so many great things. The movie What If, the movie of the resurrection of Gavin Stone, several short films. But The Chosen, of course, is just about the biggest thing you've ever done, and just about the biggest thing anybody's ever done. It's an incredible project. And so very grateful that you have signed on as one of our executive producers for the shift. It's a huge blessing for us and for the project and for me personally. And I just want to kick this off with a chosen question. What are you seeing that's surprising to you or things that you've learned from season 1 to season 2?
Yeah, well, I think every day I become a better filmmaker, at least that's the goal. And I'm sure you feel that way too. So I think when it comes to the depth of character that we're exploring, the cinematography, the production design, all of those things, we learned from season 1 that how to make the most of whatever resources we're given. I think the biggest thing that and I think people are noticing this is if you look at episodes 1 through 4 of season 1, which were a lot of setup. Okay, there were only 2 miracles in the whole first 4 episodes, and Jesus wasn't there a whole lot. Then 5 through 8 was like a greatest hits album. Each episode was like a big deal. Well, we can't sustain that. We can't do every episode for the rest of The Chosen, miracle of the week, as I call it. So the first 3 episodes of this season are actually similar to the first 3 episodes of season 1, and that's purposeful. That's us saying we have got to train, and I don't mean this to sound condescending, we've got to train the audience to see this show for what it really is going to be for 7 seasons, which is a mix of big moments and small moments in character development. What you can't ever forget is that the big moments are big and impactful and life-changing for so many people because of the time we took to develop the characters. And so those moments that sometimes people go, this is not as exciting as season 1. I'm like, well, you must not remember episodes 1 through 4, which had very few big moments. But those moments of the second half of the season were big because of what happened in the first half. And I'm going to bring it to the shift for a second.
Sure.
That's something that you really understand really well. And it's one of the reasons why I've responded so well to your writing, is because you have a sensibility that's similar to mine, which is even in your film and even in your short film, which is your short film is how long? 15 minutes, maybe?
It's 20, but people think 20. It's 15.
Yeah. Because it goes by quickly. But even in that, you take your time. There are no doubt people who've watched The Shift who thought it was too long.
There have been.
Even though it's only 20 minutes. And I'm sure there's some people who thought it was too short. But the people who probably didn't like The Shift probably were like, yeah, it just feels too long. And I'm like, no, that's what makes it impactful. And that's what makes any good movie impactful, is when you don't skip past the before. The time that it is required to develop the character, to develop the setting, so that when the moment happens, the aha moment happens, it's that much more impactful. And I think that's something we're continually learning and exercising on The Chosen.
Yeah, one of the films that you're actually bringing to mind for me is Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I've heard complaints of that movie that like the first 3/4 of it is slow and not a lot happens, but that movie will lay you out flat every single time in that third act. But that third act does not work without those first 2 acts doing all that heavy lifting and all that character work and all the relationship building that just gets destroyed, you know, in that third act and when he gets put through the ringer.
Yeah, I just did it. Well, and that's, I think, true of my favorite movie of all time, It's a Wonderful Life, and I think that's true of
that
most
one as well.
Frank Capra movies. Frank Capra is one of my idols because he doesn't skip over the tough stuff, you know, whether you want to call it boring or whether you want to call it slow or whether you want to call it character building. That's what makes his climaxes so extraordinary. That's vital for any, whether it's a show or a movie. You have to be willing to take the time to develop the characters so that the big moments pay off.
And look, I've worked on projects where the filmmakers or the storytellers decided to cut out those character moments, you know, and suffered greatly for it. So you're clearly a busy guy, and you know, one of the concerns that we see popping up now and again, as people find out that you're involved in the shift, is why work on the shift when you're tied up with The Chosen, and is The Chosen going to suffer because you're working on the shift?
Well, it's a fair question, but I think we all know that I'm not going to be doing anywhere close to what I do on The Chosen with the shift. What I'm doing is lending my experience, having done this project Chosen outside the system. I'm lending my experience as a filmmaker and as a writer and as someone who's done this many times. You have the wisdom of any filmmaker, including me, who has mentors or who has people who come on board that you just can run things past. So I'm going to be devoting, you know, just a handful of hours, you know, a month to giving advice, answering questions, lending my support where I can. And then once you start filming, maybe a little bit more, you know, just you know, being a resource that you can reach out to as someone who can say, look, I've been in this spot that you've been in, Brock, and here's how I dealt with it. And also connecting you with the right people. For example, the composers of The Shift are the composers of The Chosen. And I connected you. I think I introduced you to casting director. There's other people that I've had the luxury of getting to know over the years and saying, these people are trustworthy. They're going to help you. They're going to help to legitimize your project. And that's happened to me throughout my entire career. I've had people who've said, all right, you need this particular position filled. I know a guy, or I know a girl, or I know someone who's going to be able to be trustworthy. And that's invaluable. So, yeah, I'm not going to be taking time away from The Chosen. I don't think you would want that.
No,
because you're a fan of The Chosen as well.
I am, and I don't want the hate. So,
right, but Angel Studios, which is the company that connects a lot of these projects and actually connected me to you, they're an organization that is building multiple projects, and it behooves them and me to learn and for us to become almost like artificial intelligence, where we get smarter every day. And I'm someone who sees the value in seeing a project like yours, and I've had conversations with Daniel Harmon, who's running the Tuttle Twins, another project that Angel is developing, and we've bounced ideas back and forth off each other. And I do that because I believe it's the right thing to do. I want to be helpful where I can. B, even just for purely selfish reasons, it's going to pay off for The Chosen and for other projects down the road as well. And the more that we can help each other and develop projects together and speak into each other's projects, the better those projects are going to be, and the quicker this is all going to build. And I think that's important for Chosen fans to know, that helping the shift, and I'm sure you would agree with this. If you don't like the shift, if you don't want to be involved, if you saw the short film and it just didn't work for you, then don't be involved. And I say that to people about The Chosen. Like, if you don't have the money, if you don't have the time, if it's not working for you, then don't watch the show and don't pay it forward on The Chosen. But if you did like the short film, and if you do like the shift, and if you do see the potential in Brock that I see, as an important storyteller, and with an important story to tell for our world. And then you need to realize that investing in the shift is not only a good investment, because the shift is a great project and is going to do well. And it's not only a good investment spiritually, because the shift is going to impact people's lives, but it also helps the chosen. It also helps the chosen in the sense that it brings in more people. And when the chosen and the shift and the Tuttle Twins and other projects that Angel Studios is developing, when those projects are speaking to each other and connecting tribes to each other, that produces exponential growth. And so it does not take away from the chosen at all. It enhances the chosen. It brings in more people. If the shift is successful, financially, spiritually, audience-wise, whatever, that will help the chosen, because these projects talk to each other. And some of the people who are involved in the shift came there from the chosen. And that will also happen in reverse. There will be people who come across the shift because they love it, and then we'll hear about the chosen because it's also from Angel Studios, or because I'm one of the executive producers, or because there's kind of a mutual love fest going on between these projects, and they'll be like, oh, I want to check out the chosen. And so that's the long-term goal that Angel Studios has, and it's one of the things that I'm excited about, is that the chosen is not in a vacuum, and the shift is not in a vacuum. And so please, if you are intrigued by the shift, not only should you not be scared it's going to detract from the chosen, you should be excited that it's going to enhance the chosen, and vice versa.
No, that's perfectly well said. I think there's a cultural impact too. That I looked at the chosen the first time I saw the chosen, and I thought how sad it would be if the chosen was an isolated event. If you make the chosen and it's fantastic and it's doing this new thing, this really, really well done thing within Christian storytelling. I think anybody who watches that a show, and automatically they think, oh, there's a leveling up that's happening here. And how sad it would be if the chosen was an isolated incident and nobody was able to follow it up. And I feel like it's incumbent upon us as artists and as storytellers to rise to the level of what you're doing, to carry the ball forward, to keep the conversation going of how can we make something that competes with the best of what Hollywood has to offer. And I know that's one of the goals that Angel Studios has, and the chosen is perfectly emblematic of that goal. And I want the shift to be part of that conversation. I want the shift to be one of those that people look at and say, yeah, that was another one that really did something different, but did it at a high level, and made a difference and inspired people.
If the chosen ends up kind of being the period at the end of the sentence of this get used to different, think outside the box, new thing. You actually use the term new thing, which is one of our kind of themes of the chosen, that Bible verse from Isaiah 43, which is, behold, I am doing a new thing.
Right.
If it just begins and ends with the chosen, that's a fail.
Right.
Because the chosen's only going to be 7 seasons. And from now until Jesus comes, we've got to have more projects to fill the gap. And even between seasons, I mean, we hear from people all the time saying, I can't wait for season 2, or I can't wait for season 3, or right now I can't wait for episode 4. Well, imagine if it got to the point where when season 2 of The Chosen was done, you didn't have to wait a year to watch another God-inspired or high quality, impactful project. Well, I saw your short film. I saw The Shift a couple years ago, and I thought this is going to be a challenge because it's a very nuanced story. It's going to be a challenge to it's not quite as kind of obvious as The Chosen is, where The Chosen was kind of like it's a Jesus show. You kind of have an idea of where it's going to go, whereas The Shift is a little bit more nuanced. But I also thought this is an important project and needs backing, needs to be made. And then I remember reading a chapter of your book that you released was it last year? I guess COVID is
it was actually like a year and a half ago, but yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, it feels, yeah. And I remember just going, oh my goodness, like you're even better than I thought you were. Like this guy is an extraordinary storyteller. And now that you've released your script to the public to read if they so choose, it's like there's even more urgency. It's like, wow, this guy has to be given a platform. and so that's where we're at now. And I'm just really hopeful that, like I said, that The Chosen becomes a comma in the middle of a long sentence that includes the shift and that includes some of these other projects. But right now, you're growing faster than you were a couple months ago, and so I hope people will get in on this before the time is out. Because I remember when we were with The Chosen, when the short film The Shepherd came out, and the initial interest was huge, but that's all it was interest. People were just saying, yes, I'm interested in investing. So we finally opened up investment, and in the first weekend, it just went significantly slower than Angel anticipated. I mean, they just, because we'd had like $18 million worth of interest shown, but we'd lost momentum because it was like 6 months after that round had happened that we finally were able to open investment. And it took a while, and a couple months went past. It was going slow, and then all of a sudden, the tide turned, and we ended up having people who still to this day are upset that they didn't get a chance to invest because they ran out of time, and so many people came in at once. So it looks like you guys are on the verge of that happening, where you can kind of get past that point, that tipping point where people will start going, wait a minute, what's this? And I want to get in on it, and they can't. So hopefully they'll get in as soon as possible and not take it for granted. We still every day if we hear from people who are upset they missed out on that first round. So yeah, it hasn't come around, even though we thought we were going to do one last year. We just didn't, we didn't need it. And we're not going to bring on new investors and dilute the original ones. Because if you're one of the original investors, you have, well, whether it's in The Chosen or in The Shift, and I'm an investor in The Shift, but if you, at least I think I better make sure I do that. As soon as I hang up with you, I'm going to do it. Did I not officially invest?
I don't think so.
I invested.
But you've invested in other ways, so you're forgiven.
No, but I did invest in Angel Studios. But that's funny. I've helped you. I don't think I've actually gone around and done it myself. So I'm going to do it as soon as I hang up because I don't want to miss out. Time matters, and so I would encourage you, if you're watching right now, and you're like, I'll see what happens. Like, if there's something stirring in your heart, if there's something that's saying, I don't normally do this, but I really like this guy or I really like this project, do it now. Like turn me off, turn Brock off, or keep us on while you go do it. And then commit to, like, just take a chance and do something like maybe 25% more than you were planning on doing. Because when you look back on it a couple months from now, you're not going to miss that 25% more money. You're going to be happy that you invested in something that's this important, and that's going to end up generating, I believe it's going to end up generating income. So that's what's happening with The Chosen in a significant way. And but I think more importantly, it's an investment in something that's going to impact people's lives. So
yeah. No, I appreciate that. There are some people who have some concerns, and we've been hearing them a lot. You mentioned that the shift is a little bit more nuanced than The Chosen, which is based on the Bible, and people are familiar with that. So there's kind of this way in, and when people watch the shift for the first time, there's no way in. They experience it, and they don't really know what's coming at them. Part of the nuance that's happening there is we're very much operating kind of within the realm of allegory. A lot of it is very much intended as allegory for kind of just our experience here on Earth. We're doing it through the lens of science fiction, which is different. That's new. That's different, and it's not something that people have seen a whole lot before. And there have been some concerns about mixing science fiction with faith, which is definitely what we're doing. And I'm just wondering, because you watched The Shift, and from the get-go, you loved it. You never raised any concerns with me about any of this. And I want to be clear that we're talking about a minority of people, but there's been enough that I want to address it just very quickly. What is your take on that, about what we're doing with The Shift, kind of this new thing, and kind of mixing two things that don't generally mix? Is that something that makes sense to you?
I would ask a question to people who are concerned about mixing faith with science fiction. Is I would kind of say, what shouldn't be mixed with faith? Like, to me, whether it's art or real life, I would argue that faith is a vital part. Faith in God and the God of the universe is a vital part of anything that we address or watch. And when you read Chronicles of Narnia or Lord of the Rings or any metaphoric or allegorical artistic enterprise, whether it's a book or a movie. I mean, my dad wrote the Left Behind books, which were for sure mixing faith with, I don't know if you want to call it science fiction, but a modern day telling of the book of Revelation or the prophecies of the Revelation coming true in modern day involved a lot of what would traditionally be considered science fiction, because obviously they're supernatural. And science fiction delves into the supernatural, and in many ways, there's a handful of genres that sometimes we think shouldn't be associated with faith, but that actually are extraordinarily faith-friendly because they accept the supernatural or the otherworldly as real. And most people don't accept faith. They don't accept the supernatural as real. Some people think that they do, but they really don't. And I think that whenever you watch a piece of art or read a piece of art, that by definition is accepting of the otherworldly, that really allows you to explore faith and explore the truth of Scripture in a way that can't be explored in other areas. Because think about, like, when you do a modern day movie, like a faith-based movie, the only way that you're going to cinematically portray something supernatural is through like a miracle, like a healing, or that's why a lot of faith-based movies these days, in the last few years that were successful, were like about miracles. But miracles don't always happen. You know, I mean, at least physical miracles. I mean, obviously every day is a miracle, but you know what I mean? Like someone being brought back to life or whatever. That's some people in a normal movie or a normal show, meaning like just kind of a real world show, have a hard time accepting something that happens supernatural. It just feels like it's out of place. Whereas with science fiction or allegory, you kind of just settle in and accept it. So in Lord of the Rings or Chronicles of Narnia, which were both written by passionate Christians who were telling very biblically based stories, just using metaphor and allegory and the supernatural in a way to cover it, the viewer doesn't sit there going, I don't buy any of this. Like, they're by definition open to that, like their heart and their mind is open to the otherworldly. And when your heart and mind just kind of are open to that artistically, then you can really get in some truth bombs that they don't see coming. And that's what's so great about the Shift script. That's what's so great about your short film is, yeah, it's nuanced. Yeah, it's allegorical. Yeah, it's not like The Chosen where it's just, you're watching Jesus walk around on earth and everything is real. So yeah, it is a little different. And maybe it's, for some people, it's just harder to kind of wrap their mind around. I get that.
Right.
But my goodness, when you get to the truth bomb, it's that much more interesting because your brain and your heart have gone down these roads and opened up these pathways. And I don't mean that in a new age way. I just mean that in a literal way where you're like, you really get to see things that you weren't open to before. And that's what opens you up to Jesus. That's what opens you up to the God of the universe. And I would say that so many people, when it came to Chronicles of Narnia, understood the Christ story. And that's why C.S. Lewis chose to do it that way. Is it just that was the art form that children and adults were able to get it. Like the scales were removed from their eyes for the first time, going, I never thought of it that way. And then the Bible opened up for them even more. And that's what art can do. And that's what a project like The Shift can do.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I think you're exactly right. I think the power of allegory, the power of story is to teach us truths in a different way that opens up our minds to just how much truth is actually there, or we see things maybe that we didn't see before. I've heard from a lot of people who watch the short, they get done with it and they say, oh my gosh, I see now what the attacks are. I see what I'm battling every day. I haven't ever been able to put it into words, but you have put on screen what I'm going through.
Right.
And they were able to do that and recognizing it's science fiction, recognizing it's a fictional story, but they see those truths that you're talking about. And it helps.
When you see it, as opposed to, because so many supernatural things you don't see. But there was a very famous book back in the 80s called This Present Darkness. It was huge in evangelical circles. And I mean, huge. It was bigger. It was Left Behind before Left Behind came out. It was really huge. And it was these stories told from the perspectives in many ways of demons. And you like it really visualized what demons did. And so in many ways, again, it didn't feel like science fiction in the purest sense because because again, we believe that demons are real, but it was showing you things that you never see. And I mean, so many people's lives were impacted and changed by it spiritually because of it. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm a huge believer in using parable, and that's what Jesus did. I mean, that's how Jesus opened up things so often, is he told parables. And parables are in many ways, again, I don't know if you use the term science fiction, but they're fiction for the most part, used to illustrate a truth. And that's where people always have those aha moments. And those aha moments can come tremendously from allegory. If you're watching right now, I'm just telling you, no one's paid me to say this. I haven't gotten paid a dime to help out the shift. But I really, really strongly believe in this project. And I know it's different from The Chosen, but if you are a fan of The Chosen, it's going to make sense financially, spiritually, and also artistically to see more projects like this get made, because there has to be room in popular culture for storytellers who have something to say about this world that God inhabits, that God created, because 98% of stories that you see in the world right now are not inhabited by a God. They're worlds that are created where God is absent. And truth is absent. And The Shift is a project in which truth is dominant and God is present. And we desperately need that. And so I really hope it gets done. And I'm going to, like tonight, I'm going to go invest right now because I don't want to miss out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dallas. Really appreciate
All right, brother,
it.
we'll talk again soon.
Yep. Sounds good. Talk to you later. Bye.
And Dallas is just one of the people from The Chosen who has come aboard The Shift. Anybody we can get from The Chosen, I'm pretty much happy.
Yeah.
We've only brought 3 on so far. Although Justin Overlander, associate producer over at The Shift, over at the Chosen, rather,
conversations.
We've had some. He is a friend. We talk a lot, just generally, and we've made no secret of wanting to work together. I would love, So who knows? Who knows what'll happen? But for right now, we've got Dallas, and we've got Dan Hasseltine, and we've got Matt Nelson doing music, and of course, they composed the score for The Shift Animatic. So that's a little preview for what they're doing. One of the other things, I want to talk about that in just a second, of another way that Dan in particular is going to bless The Shift. But let's review investments, because we had a number of them come in while Dallas and I were talking. Mary Elizabeth from Pennsylvania invested $150. Thank you so much, Mary Elizabeth. David from Utah invested $4,998.
Awesome. Thank you, David.
David, thank you. Jesus from Colorado invested $600.
Thank you, Jesus.
Awesome. Thank you, Jesus. Emmanuel from Arkansas invested $102. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. And Alan from Colorado, $300, getting his name in the credits there. Elizabeth from South Carolina invested $1,002. What's our $1,000 level perk? I'm trying to remember. Is that the?
I don't know.
I don't remember either. It's been a long month.
I thought it was an NFT. It's not.
Maria V, or Maria the Fifth, I'm not sure, from Virginia invested $120. Thank you so much, Maria V. And Deanne from Tennessee invested $102. All of these investments just came in within the last several minutes. These are happening fast and a lot. Sharon from Florida invested $300, getting her name in the credits. And that's it for right now. So it's still coming. We have about 4 hours left. 4 hours left. 4 hours left until it is over, and we will no longer be able to accept any investments. Our goal tonight is to get to $50,000 while we're live. I think we're getting actually really close to that. And the goal was actually so that Erin could tell us an embarrassing story about me, but Erin took off. She went home. She's got to go to San Francisco tomorrow, so. She had to go home to go to bed. So we'll think of something else. Yeah, I lucked out. But
there's always the sunsuit.
There's always the sunsuit. No, I'm not putting on the sunsuit. Is that still behind us?
It's still back.
It's ruining our frame. Come on. We're at $1,132,821 right now.
Such a classy show.
Such a classy show. Oh, our sunsuit? Yeah. Which is an amazing number. It was only this morning that we hit $1 million.
Yes.
And it was only last night that we hit 900,000.
Oh, that's
right. So we've seen an incredible amount of growth.
Late last night too.
Yeah. So like within the last 24 hours, I mean, we've seen almost $250,000 in investment. Which is incredible when you think about that. Our first crowdfunding campaign, we did 6 weeks, and it took us 6 weeks to get to 150,000.
Yeah.
We've done almost twice that in 24 hours, which is crazy. It's just crazy. So I mentioned Dan. So last night we talked with Dan and with Matt, who are doing the music for the shift. And one of the things that I first put into the script for the shift is the song "Oh My God" by Jars of Clay. It's a very significant song for me. I believe it is Jars of Clay's best song. Dan, of course, is the lead singer-songwriter for Jars of Clay.
Right.
This is a song that he co-wrote and did with his band Jars of Clay. And it's such a powerful song, and it's such a different song. It's about faith, but it is about the part of faith that we don't talk about, which is, you know, the doubt and the terror and the just that we all, to a degree, have faith when we use the phrase "Oh my God," which is often, you know, a way to take the Lord's name in vain. And this song takes that phrase, which I honestly never say other than to say the name of this song, and talks about that in a very real way, talks about the different ways that we use it. It's an incredible song, and I'm going to stop talking about it because to unpack it would do it an injustice. It's so much more complex and wonderful than I can possibly approach with my fumbling words. But I wrote it into the script because I knew that there was a moment in which that song would say everything, and far more than words can. In fact, it's such an important song that when that song comes on in the script, all the dialogue goes away. It totally goes away. And it's a montage sequence, not even really a montage. It's an extended kind of action sequence, really. And this song comes on. So I wrote that into the script thinking to myself, you know, hopefully I can find some way to get connected with Jars of Clay, who I've been fans of since, you know, forever, but really not having any idea how that would ever happen. Well, I won't bore you with the story, but eventually, of course, I got connected to Dan, and Dan agreed to do the music. And Dan, when he read the script for the shift, he did not know that song was in there. So he stumbled upon it, much to my displeasure, because I begged Matt, who handed him off the script, I begged Matt to warn him that was in there because I didn't want Dan to think I was too presumptuous. Thankfully, Dan loved the placement of the song and loved the way I was using it. Last night, Dan basically essentially announced that we're going to get that song
in one form or another.
And what that means is that, you know, he, having now worked on the soundscape for the music for the shift, realizes that "Oh My God" as it exists sonically, right, it doesn't quite fit with what he's doing with the score. And so there is an idea. And the idea is to do a new version of "Oh My God" that would more sonically fit with what we're doing with the shift. And as a fan of that song, as someone who listens to that song still constantly, I mean, it's been out for 15 years now. It came out in 2006. To get a new version, to get one that's like by request from me, I mean, it's huge. It's amazing. But look, a personalized version. But I mean, really for the film, it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. And I'm so excited about it. I would love you to hear this song. Now we're going to listen to this song right now. This is a version that Jars of Clay recently cut for a concert series they were doing online, and also kind of for me. I asked if we could have a live version that we could share on live streams, and so they did this and they sent it over, and it's just wonderful. It's a slightly edited version. The original song is like 7 minutes long, and so they've edited it a bit, but you'll still get the feel for it. You'll get the sense of just how powerful this song is. So I'd like to listen to that, and then when we come back, I want to talk to you a little bit about my story and about why the shift, why I'm making it in the first place. So here we go. This is Jars of Clay performing "Oh My God."
Oh my God, look around this place. Your fingers reach around the bone. You set the break and set the tone for flights of grace. The future falls present pain. What fools say, oh my God. Oh my God, why are we so afraid? We make it worse when we don't bleed. There is no cure for our disease. Turn a phrase and rise again. Fake your death and only tell closest friends. Oh my God. Oh my God, can I complain? You take away my firm belief and craft my soul upon your grief. Weddings, boats, and alibis, I'll drift away when a mother cries. Sometimes I cannot forgive. These days mercy cuts so deep. If the world was how it should be, maybe I could get some sleep. Lately I dream we're better. Scales were gone and faces light. When we wake we hate our brother. We still move to hurt each other. Sometimes I can close my eyes. All the fear that keeps me silent falls below my heavy breathing. What makes me so badly bent? We all have a chance to murder. We all feel the need for wonder. We still want to be reminded that the pain is worth the plunder. Sometimes when I lose my grip, I wonder what to make of heaven. All the times I thought to reach up, all the times I had to give up. Babies underneath their beds, hospitals that cannot treat, all the wounds that money causes, all the comforts of cathedrals, all the cries of thirsty children. This is our inheritance, all the rage of watching mothers. This is our greatest offense. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my
All right.
Man.
It's powerful. It's very powerful. When that song lands in the film, where it lands, and those of you that have read the script, you know where it's going to land. It's going to be, I don't know, I think I'm going to have a hard time holding back the tears. I'll tell you that. It's just, that song means so much to me. And that was it in a truncated form. Like,
right.
It's going to be a little bit different in the film, but very, very powerful. Robin from Tennessee just invested $102. Thank you so much, Robin. Marshall from Texas invested $249.
Thank you, Marshall.
Thank you, Marshall. Investments continue to climb. This is our final night. We only have about 3.5 hours left. Yeah, very, very, very soon we're gonna be ending this. coming off that song, this is our current investment here. $1,134,303 is where we're currently at. Coming off that song, it's hard to just I'm not going to show you top 10 reasons to not invest in the shift after that. We're not going comedy here. And so I want to share with you just for a little bit, and I've shared this before, but for those of you that maybe don't know about it, I just want to share very briefly. Hey, Damien from New Jersey just invested $1,131.
Awesome. Thank you, Damien.
Thank you, Damien. I want to share with you a little bit of my story. The shift is the way it is because I'm not afraid of talking about dark things or talking about difficult things or talking about the trials and tribulations we go through. Sometimes in Christian media, we get the sanitized version. Sometimes the film has this need within it to constantly reassure the audience, hey, everything's going to be okay. Mm-hmm. I think for the most of the runtime of the shift, we are not saying that. We are not giving you reassurances. Kevin is passing through something that's very difficult. And to me, that is more like what life is like. It's certainly what my life has been like. When I'm in the middle of a trial, I don't have necessarily reassurance in that moment that everything's going to be okay. I mean, yes, I can go to the scriptures,
sure.
Right? I can go to church,
sure.
and I can seek perspective and solace in these places, and I do, but there are also many times when I'm in the middle of a trial and I don't understand when it's going to end. I don't understand why it's happening to me,
right.
And I don't really know what to do. And that is the feeling that I want the shift to have, that I think that it does have, because it is through that feeling and through passing through that feeling and passing through those times that I believe that we see God's light more clearly. And in my life, there's been a number of events like that I can point to, that I can describe. But the earliest event and the most significant would be the life and death of my father. And I would say the life and death because it was also what happened to him while he was alive that was just as significant for me and for him and my family as what happened once he died and what happened after that. And so I just want to share a little bit of my story with you. This is a video that I took. It's on a cell phone. It's just me out on the side of a road. Behind me is a dirt field. On that dirt field, there once stood my dad's store where he worked and that he owned. And it's also the place where he died. And so this is a video that I did out there. This is for me, this is where the shift started. To be honest with you, they were pretty faithless prayers. I didn't think that they were going to do any good, but I didn't know what else to do. And gosh, it's hard to do this in front of this. Hey everybody, Brock Heasley, the writer and director of The Shift here, and I'm out here on the outskirts of Fresno, California, the city where we shot The Shift, surrounded by smoke. I don't know if you can tell, but there's no sky, that's just all smoke. There's fire in the foothills. All of California is on fire right now. My car is right there. It's covered in ash when I got into it this morning. And why am I out here? Why am I out here in front of this empty dirt field with all this traffic raging behind me? I'm out here because I want to talk about darkness. I want to talk about why the shift is the way that it is. I've been blessed, and I say blessed specifically, to have dark times in my life. And those dark times have given me perspective on God and perspective on life. And it has helped me to see his love and to see his light shine. My father was packing up for the night. 3 days before my 12th birthday, this was years ago, 2 men burst in with semi-automatic submachine guns and immediately began firing. The first bullets went right towards him, hit him in the stomach, and he fell to the ground. The next bullets went into the cases, the display cases where all the guns were kept. And as soon as the glass broke, they began quickly gathering the guns into a bag. And then they kept shooting my father as he was lying there on the ground. They didn't want any witnesses. And they made sure of that, shooting him over and over and over again, up and down his body. And then they left. And as you can see where I am right now, there's not a whole lot here. A couple of farmhouses, a highway road that's a lot more active than it was back then. And he was alone, and there was nobody coming. He was shot 13 times. I honestly don't know anybody else who's ever been shot that many times. But he was shot that many times, and he was on the ground, and he had a decision to make about what he was going to do, and whether or not he was going to get up and call 911 or give in to the pain and die. To my father's credit, he got up. He climbed his way to the phone that was hanging on the wall, picked up the receiver, and laid back down. Accidentally, he dialed 411 at first. And so with his legs riddled with bullets, he had to get back up again and redial 911. And he did. And the paramedics eventually got to him, but they had to wait outside for the police to come and secure the scene. And as they were waiting, he was talking to the EMT, a frustrated EMT, who was just trying to get my dad to hang on long enough so the paramedics could come in and save his life. But my dad did not believe that he was going to be living much longer, and so he pled with the man on the phone to call my mom and to tell her that he loved her, and to also give a message to his sons, myself and my brothers, that he loved us too and that we should be good. That was his last message to us. Or it was what he thought it was his last message. As it turned out, my father did live that night. The paramedics were able to save his life. They brought him to the hospital. He was in very bad shape, and he was in the ICU for a week. But 3 weeks after the shooting, he did come home. He could only get around in a wheelchair at first, and then eventually a walker. And then by the end of the year, he was running and playing with us. And the thing that sticks out the most to me about my dad and about how he dealt with that trauma was that he never really was traumatized from it at all, nor did he harbor any bitterness or ill feelings. He had this joke that he would tell. He would talk about the guys that did it, the guys who shot him, and how he just wanted 5 minutes alone in a room with them. Just 5 minutes alone. And it was like a joke he would tell. I knew my dad would never do anything. He never spoke of them otherwise. It didn't change his outlook. It didn't change who he was. It didn't change his willingness to help and to serve others. He was a guy who knew that bad things happen in this world, and then he moved on and tried to learn what he could from them. 8 years later, I get a phone call from my grandfather. I'm serving as a missionary at this time. I'm in Arizona. I haven't seen my dad in 10 months. I get a phone call from my grandpa, and he tells me that it's happened again. 2 men burst into the store that was right here and shot my father. And I knew immediately he was dead. In a way that I didn't know when I was younger. When I was younger, I believed that he would live. But I knew instantly when Grandpa told me that Dad had been shot that was it for him. But I kept hope anyway. And I prayed over the next hour, and to be honest with you, they were pretty faithless prayers. I didn't think that they were going to do any good, but I didn't know what else to do. And gosh, this is hard to do this in front of this. Then my mom called me. And she told me that Dad had died. And I hung up the phone and I went into my room and I took off my tie and I hung it on the rack and I looked down at my feet and I squared them up with the closet. I remember that specifically doing that action. And I think it was just a sense of wanting to do something that I had some control over. Wanting to do something that was precise and right. And in that moment, squaring up my feet was that thing, just making them square and perpendicular to the closet. And then I started thinking about the men who had done this, who had killed him. I didn't know them, I didn't know their names, I didn't know their faces. But I started thinking about them and I got so angry. I was so mad at them because there were 2 men that did this. There was somebody responsible. God didn't do this. 2 men did it. God allowed it to happen. Why, I didn't know. But 2 men had done it. And in that moment, I felt so angry at them. Such frustration. And then, almost immediately, the feeling left.
it was gone completely. And it was replaced by a peace. A peace that my father was okay. I knew who he was. I knew he was a faithful man. I was pretty confident about where he was. But my thoughts turned again to those men, and I thought about what they had done. And I realized that there was a greater tragedy that had happened that night besides the death of my father. And the greater tragedy was what those two men had done to themselves. Physical death is one thing, but the spiritual death that takes place when somebody sins, and a sin of the magnitude that they committed that night, that is the kind of pain that is far greater than any physical pain that we can possibly encounter. I doubt very much that those men realized that night the magnitude of what they had done, or the loss that they had experienced in their soul. But the thing that I did know was that one day they would understand that. One day they would know what they had done, whether in this life or the next. They would be confronted with what they had done. And that would be a very bitter day indeed. And in thinking about that, my anger was replaced with empathy, with sympathy, and even with love. In that moment, I loved the men who killed my father. And I don't say that flippantly. It was a very real thing, and it was so real that it hasn't stopped. I have never, since that night, felt a moment of bitterness or anger. I was blessed with a perspective on what happened that night that has remained with me ever since. And the thing is that I wouldn't have that understanding. I wouldn't have seen that light. God's light shined so bright that night, and it has continued to shine brighter in my life ever since that night. Brighter than it ever did before. And that wouldn't have happened without passing through that kind of darkness. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't take my father back in an instant if that were possible and erase that whole thing. But I can't deny the benefit that it was to me and the way that it has helped me and changed me as a person and made me into so much of what I am now. I'm still growing, but I know that I am so much more than I would have been because of what I passed through and what my family passed through that night. That's why I'm making this film. Those are the stories I want to tell. We are having a very real experience here on Earth. We are passing through trial. There is fire in the foothills. The world is on fire, and the world is also good and great and wonderful. Suffering is awful and terrible, but it is also a glorious thing. And the reason that I am making this film is because I want to talk about that directly. If you've seen the short film, then you know a little bit, but you don't know the half of what we're doing with this thing. Kevin's journey, the story of the shift, is about a man passing through incredible, unbelievable, oppressing darkness. But we're going to tell it in a way. We're going to tell that story in a way that is going to bring light. If you think about the times in your life when you've experienced trial, it's probably, maybe it's not like my story, but you've got your own story. You've passed through something that was difficult, that was hard, that you didn't want to be at all, and you were better for it. I believe that's an important message to bring to people, to show them that even in the worst suffering, even in the worst kind of difficulty, that God is still there. And if we are faithful, he will show us his light. When I come here, that's what I think of. I think of, yes, this is where my father died, but I also think of the greatest blessings that have ever come to me in my life, the greatest light and knowledge. It's the struggle that allows light and hope to be made manifest. And that's all I really wanted to say on this. Beyond the calls for investment and the money we need to make this film and how we're not going to be able to do it if we don't, I hope you understand that it's coming from a very real place. I believe that there's an important message to share with people, that there is a hope that can be had even in the darkest of times. If that is something that you think is important, if you think that that's something that needs to go out there and be shared with people, I hope you'll join us in telling this story and partnering with us. Thanks very much. That is my story. My dad is also the person who introduced me to movies. I mean, he had such a raging love for movies, particularly genre movies.
He grew up on horror films. He loves sci-fi films. He's the one who, dragged me to Back to the Future, even when I couldn't understand, what the title meant. I was 8 years old, and promising me, you're going to love this movie. So, my love of film really, really comes from him.
That's awesome.
And I'll always be grateful to him for that. I debated whether or not to share this, but let's face it, we're here at the end, and people are kind of in and out, and who cares? I'm just going to share it. But tonight is actually the 25th anniversary of the day that he died. So that story was of his death. That was 25 years ago today. And I cannot help but wonder what he would make of tonight, and today, and that we've raised over $1 million for this film, and I didn't grow up wanting to be a filmmaker, and I didn't really start thinking in that direction until just a few years ago. So it's not like he knew I was going to do that, but I think given his love for film, and I don't know, I like to think that he'd be proud of me, and that he'd be excited, and probably an investor as well. My mom is, so I think it's fair to say that my dad would be too.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I just think it's a nice bit of symmetry that we're ending this campaign tonight, on the anniversary of his death, and that it's done what it's done, and that this film is so much closer to being made now. After tonight, I know we're both excited to figure out next steps. We have a meeting with Angel Studios next week, our distribution partners. We announced that tonight. We have formalized our distribution agreement with Angel Studios. And so we're going to talk about what's next, and how we get what we need to make this film happen. We still have some budget needs, but we have a number of people who have expressed an interest already.
Yeah, we have a couple of interesting meetings on the schedule.
Yeah,
can't quite talk about yet.
No, we can't. Nothing we can give details on. But suffice it to say that what you have done this month, and particularly tonight, with hitting the milestones that we have, this film is really a lot closer to being made. And look, movies take time to put together. There are movies that have taken decades to get together. I don't anticipate that for us. I don't think that's going to happen.
Sure.
But it's those of you that aren't familiar with the movie making business. Pretty much every movie you've seen is the result of years of assembling, and it just takes a while. But we are working very, very hard on this, and we have every reason to expect that we will be able to roll cameras soon. We really do believe that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Jason from Wisconsin just invested $300. Thank you so much, Jason. The investments are still coming in here. John from Texas invested $300 as well. Both those guys are going to have their names in the credits. David from Texas also going to have his name in the credits because he invested $300. Love seeing that come in. Deborah from Connecticut invested $300 as well. Apparently there was a rule in the last 5 minutes where people could only invest $300. Oh, no, sorry. Anne Marie from Arizona invested $249. Awesome. Breaking the rules. Cassandra from North Carolina invested $102. Thank you so much, Cassandra. And finally, Timothy from Texas invested $999.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Timothy. We appreciate all of you. I think we are done for tonight. We're gonna leave you. There are still 3.5 hours left to come in and invest with us. Please tell your friends. Please tell anybody you think that might be interested, anybody who's ever expressed any interest. Let them know that this is the night. We thank you for hanging with us. We thank you for what has happened today. It's truly been a miracle. When you think about where this started with a $500 short film that we never thought anybody would see outside of our friends and our crew and our families. It is an incredible thing that's happened today. We are so grateful to you. We're grateful for the team at Angel Studios for believing in this film and getting us to this point, and being willing also to continue to travel with us beyond. We're grateful also to our live stream team, Ryan and John and Esther, and everybody who's been helping us out so much, and of course for our guests tonight as well. We're just so grateful to everybody. I mean, that's really the overwhelming feeling that I've got right now. It's just gratitude. I'm just grateful. So very exciting things happening. Expect updates soon. I'm sure we'll share as much as we can as soon as we can. We are going to be entering a different phase of this now, though. We're not going to be doing constant live streams. We're not going to be doing constant posts.
No.
It'll be a little bit quieter, but we do have something coming up this week that is very exciting, and that is merchandise.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we've been so focused on the campaign, we've forgotten about merchandise. We are launching pre-orders for that this week. That is happening. We're going to have more details on that soon. I believe it's Friday. We're launching the pre-orders, shirts, hats, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and if you go to our Instagram page or Facebook page, you can kind of see some samples of those, and you can actually kind of vote on which ones you want us to put out first.
And I'm sure we'll do like a larger post here. Now that we've kind of run through the polls, we'll probably have a larger post. So you watch our Facebook page, watch our Instagram page. All that stuff is going to be there. I can't believe we almost forgot merchandise.
I know, totally forgot.
Well, let's pull it back to the investment. Our current investment is at $1,130,000. I'm waiting for that number to come up. I was hoping John was going to get there. $137,027. That's our current investment. We have 3.5 hours left. Can we get to $1,150,000? I think that's totally possible. I'd love to see it. Thank you, everybody. I'm Brock Heasley, the writer and director of The Shift.
And I'm Orlando J. Gomez, producer of The Shift.
Have a good night, and we'll see you soon.
Take it easy.
What happens when atheists make Bible movies? You get films like this. How could you cast Batman as Moses and still have the movie be more boring than church? Never send Hollywood to do a Christian's job. No, not that Christian. You had your chance. Still like you as Batman, though. There are two problems when it comes to faith-based movies. Number one, most Christian films look cheap because they don't have the budget. The second problem is when Hollywood attempts to make their own faith movie, which is when you get Noah talking to rock monsters. Was a global flood not epic enough for you, Hollywood? Most faith-based movies fall apart quickly. And watching them is like walking on Legos with your eyes. It's hard to feel God in a faith-based film when they have the production value of a church play.
I don't feel safe!
Hey, you don't cry until the last scene!
Pray for them. Hollywood has all of the production value, but none of the Christian value. How can we as believers enjoy a faith-based film that's as enjoyable as a blockbuster, but retains the power and truth of the Bible? We need a Hollywood-quality movie created by actual believers, and that movie is The Shift. It's about a man who meets the devil himself and gets banished to a dark, parallel earth where he fights to get back to the woman he loves. The script explores some of today's hardest questions about maintaining faith, like how can a loving God allow suffering? Or how can I overcome feelings of despair and hopelessness? Finally, you can see a faith-based film that feels like your favorite movies. The Shift is a sci-fi film that will make you think deeply like Inception and weep like Matthew McConaughey in Interstellar. Man, even his ugly cry looks good. I can't do it. I can't. I'm not that talented. Using popular genres to share faith-based stories is a great way to entertain and inspire a love for God. Look at C.S. Lewis, who used fantasy to share Christian themes and inspire millions. And make millions. Even Jesus used creative storytelling to make his sermons more interesting. Parables. I'm talking about parables. We need your help to turn The Shift into a full-length feature film. But rather than pass around a donation plate, we want you to own part of the movie. Click the link to invest in The Shift today. The plan is for The Shift to be distributed by Angel Studios, which helped The Chosen become the largest crowdfunded media project of all time. Angel Studios' distribution of The Chosen then went on to generate over $70 million in revenue and over 250 million views. Here's what the creator of The Chosen has to say about The Shift.
I have actually signed on to be one of the executive producers of The Shift, and I want to see more, and I want to be part of it. And it reaches me on both an intellectual level and an emotional level.
Angel Studios also helped the Wing Feather Saga, an animated fantasy series created by a Christian author, become the largest crowdfunded kids and family animated project in history. When you invest in The Shift, you're not just investing in a groundbreaking Christian film. You have the potential to share in the profits. Now, we don't have one of these profits to promise that you'll make this profit. But I am going to repeat that The Chosen earned $70 million in revenue. That's the highest earning faith-based project of the last 2 years. The Shift not only has the incredible potential in the marketplace, it's just an incredible movie. Listen to these reviews from folks who watched the short film. Jane F. wrote, "This looks amazing. I've never seen a faith-based film like this." Ronnie said, "There's actually no way to convey how this spoke to me just now. I look forward to seeing what God does with this film. And Jason commented recently with, wow, just wow. And what will really wow you is discovering that the short film was created with almost zero budget and it has already touched hundreds of thousands of lives. Imagine the impact the shift can have on hearts and minds with the proper funds. Most indie Christian films operate with a budget of about $500,000, and honestly, it shows. She's fine. Maybe the little shepherd boy could say a quick prayer? Yeah, we good? With 10 times the production value, we can truly do justice to the epic themes in the Bible. So click on the link to invest in The Shift today. Look, there's nothing wrong with a film that's a labor of love, but those usually just become cult classics, which is not the best label for a Christian movie to receive. Enjoy Sunday morning values with Saturday night entertainment. Click the link to invest in The Shift today.
Thank you.